Okay.
Yeah.
And then even I could even throw Garvey in there with the back to Africa, with the, it's okay to do like 10 here, 10 there. But I think his movement was massive. He was trying to get like as much people possible. So when you do a task like that without small proofs of concepts, without small wins, it's almost fantasy. Like people need to see it. People need to see a glimpse of proof, right? So if I'm telling
you say you got to make first downs instead of just trying to go for Hail Mary touchdowns.
Yeah, that 90. Yeah, you play. Well, if you play video games, football, you're not throwing a 99-yard touchdown, or even a 80-yard touchdown. You got to chop your opponent up. You dig, and get them slipping, get them desperate to stop you, and then that's where that big play happens.
Move the trenches.
Yeah, so that's the problem. So just to leave off with Umar, so I did some research, right? So in Philly, they already got successful charter schools in Philly that's doing great, opposed from what Umar said they couldn't do, because he early in his career, he had a huge problem with charter schools, and he was lying about what they can do and what they can't do. So you have a bunch of charter schools right in Philly, his backyard, that is great, successful. A lot of kids' graduation rate is off the hook. Like, these kids are phenomenal. Okay, the sister, I think her name was Joyner. She did some speeches on her school, some like 10, 12, 13 years ago. During the time at the height of Umar. So there's no way. I think her school's called the Science Mathematics Academy, something like that. There's no way he didn't hear about it. Okay, it was a big successful school, and Philly. She was a black principal, and everything Umar wanted to do, she just did. Right, so. To not join up with people like that, or at least understand like the blueprint, just to freestyle on your own and start a university is bananas, right? Because you don't even know how to manage 12 kids. Like, dude, you're a clinical school psychologist, my boy. Like, you're handling one student at a time. So now we got 12, right? And we got 15 or 100, and these are all different levels. These are all second graders, third graders, whatever. They're all different levels. That's hard to just put together. And again, watch this. Most of his finances come from fundings, right? Like donations, and right?
I would suppose so.
Yeah, because he has no other way to generate income. Like, he's been asking for donations for like the last 14 some years. So all of his money has been coming, even every project he needs done, every task he needs done with the school, he's been asking for donations. Okay, so now here's the problem.
$12 to ask for donations for decades too. That don't mean that he's broke.
That's not my problem. That's not my issue. Well, for one, brother, in business, you never put your own money in your business, because that means your business is a failure. It has to generate its own money, right? The product and service is supposed to keep it afloat. If you put your money in your own business, it's garbage, right? It's just.
But you have seed money, startup. Right? Now, don't take startups out of the picture, because you do have startups who get seed money or do cash, and it's a lot of cash contributions when people formulate LLCs as well, right?
Yeah, but that's not ideal. The reason why we do that is because we don't get loans. So if you look at the stats, Black people fund their own business out of their personal finances more than anybody in this country, right? So we are a red line, right? So that's why we do it, but we would rather not do it that way. We would rather get a loan like everybody else, and gamble with somebody else's money. So anyway, the reason why I brought that up, as I was saying, bro, if you're relying on donations to fund your project, how are you going to pay for staff? Are they going to volunteer for a couple years before? Because schools, like the business, it's going to take time to get money, and it's going to take a long process before you could pay people.
Wasn't he creating a private school though?
Okay. But still, how are you going to get money to pay your staff?
How do private schools get money to pay their staff?
Well, he's operating independently, right? So however they seek their money, and he's so secretive. Okay. All right, now watch this. So now he's at ground zero, right? So the school is
right.
Okay. So right now he's asking for resumes, right? Okay, let's say if I'm a qualified teacher, right? Whatever I do, I send my resume. What is my salary? Because now I'm over here. I'm probably retired for 2 years. I was probably making, who knows, 50, 60, 80 grand, wherever I was at. I'm a retired teacher. This idea sparked me. I'm interested. Here's my resume. How much you paying me?
Hopefully it'll be something that's comparable.
I mean, so you believe he has something right now?
It's in the range of ballpark of what the average is. I don't know what the average is for high school.
What I'm saying is, yeah, me either. But what I'm saying is, the way he's set up right now, you believe he has something right now to pay that person?
I know that I don't know for more reasons than one. Now, I'm not against him, and I'm not in this fan club either. So even though I'm playing devil's advocate, I'm not, I ain't got no pom-poms nowhere near me at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So with that disclaimer being said, I don't know what he has in the what they used to call the cubby hole, right? In the shoebox or anything else. If he would be smart, whatever else he has, there would be degrees of anonymity involved. So you can't just look it up, all right? Especially if you're a notable public figure that does controversial things, it would behoove you to have as much anonymity as possible. So for that reason, I don't know what he has. Now, in response to something else you said, I don't know what his business plan is either.
Nobody does. He don't even know what it is.
And one thing we can't, well, of course, because people might take it and run with it, right? You want to get in the grind.
Right, stop.
You familiar with business. You know how people run with intellectual property.
No. Hey, brother, what he's doing is nothing new, right? Starting at school, the Mormons, the Nation of Islam, bro. There's so many people have done that. There's nothing new, bro. It's nothing secretive. He's going to do that. And again, he's the only one without a proof of concept. So nobody's definitely running with his idea.
Okay, I got a question for you. I have a legit question for you, right? Mm-hmm. How good, on a scale from 1 to 10, how good do you think that you can eyeball estimate the bureaucratic red tape that goes along with trying to do something like that?
Well, I'm not an expert.
I heard you mention a few people he turned down and this or that, but we don't know what other fine print, devil in the detail type of factors that come into play with people's support and patronage.
Yeah. So don't you, okay. So let's take it this way. Like, let's say there's an operation, an illegal operation in your neighborhood, right? Now, you don't know for a fact it's illegal, right? But all you can look at is the traffic and certain signs that looks like it's illegal, but you could be 100% wrong when you call the cops. Okay, so with Umar, he's doing that with me. So his little things that he's doing, again, I'm a guy who I work with contractors. I know what it takes. I know what you need, right? Where's this material list? Okay, so and contractors, bro, they already have the HVAC. Bro, they have all that for you. You don't got to do shit. Once you hire a contract, you get out the way, right? You sign off to your materials list, and you give up front whatever they need. You get out the way. You dig?
Right.
What the hell are you looking for HVAC
scope of work, bid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and some, that's the professional way to bid, but that's not how it's done everywhere, though. Like, some people don't even do the bid thing. All right.
What?
So yeah, but that is the expert professional way, but that's not how it's always done either. Now, he's out there shoveling, right? He's shoveling. He's out there raking. So he's working, right? So this guy is supposed to be in the background, and he's doing the shoveling and the raking, the things that you would think the contractor will have set up. He's doing the plumbing. You would think the contractor will hire a plumber. I work with a contractor, they will hire a plumber, or they will already have connections with a plumber. So the contractor already has connections to all these things you would need. That's why you hire this person, because you could get out the way and they could do what they got to do. Like, you're the overseer, you're signing off, you're nodding your head. That's all you're doing. And if they need more money, because this happens a lot too. When you sign off with on a material list, sometimes the estimated cost it can change. That's also in the contract. The contractor lets you know, hey, I foreseen it as I need 10 grand up front for these materials. It turns out the hole is deeper than what it was, so we're gonna need an extra 5 grand. Like, that's normal in that business. Mm-hmm. So for this guy to sit there and say, for one, when you do contract work, bro, you don't be racial. Like, you look for the most qualified people there. Right? You don't
wait. Pause. I gotta pause you out real quick on that one, because that is true in public, but we also know that it doesn't always translate like that practically, right?
You got to explain on that. You got to elaborate.
People have the right to hire who they want to hire.
Oh yeah. I'm saying that's not wise. Like, you should want to get the job done. If it's Mexicans, if it's Asians, like if they got the 5 stars and the black RBG brother got the 2 stars, you might want to go with the 5 stars, especially when you're dealing with somebody else's money. You're dealing with crowdfunding and other folks are investing. So, they want the school just built. So now the
other more organized ethnic groups do that as well. They're just more successful with it. Like in Chinatown, right? In Chicago, Chinatown. They are so cold with it, right? They make the city of Chicago hire Chinese people in streets and sanitation. So even if there's potholes to fix in the streets, it'll be some of them that are represented and compensated.
Yeah. And
they're not the only ones that do that. We're just late to the party in reference to ethnocentric interests. So
I'm from Jersey, and I don't know where you're from, but Jersey, New York is very diverse, right? There's everybody's there. So it's harder to make it racial, like it's harder to racialize contracts. It'll be clearly seen because everybody's there. Indian business, there's so much competition. It's so diverse. So everybody has a shot at, these bids and these contracts. It's really hard to make them racial.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
It's also very diverse and been mobbed out for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you though, right? I'm not one of those guys that's going to play the we can't do no better role. Right. My self-determination is too high for that. And I'll be damned if I relegate my future to relics of the past.
Right. All right. So now, okay. So he's shoveling, he's raking, okay, and he does a lot of exterior work, right? But what I never seen him do was internal work, and that now for me, right, that's very red flaggish. Okay, you want to prove, because when you do external work, that's not even confirmation you even own the school. Because anybody could just rake somebody. How many videos we watch where people cut somebody grass for free? That's because that's what they do every month at this big long landscaping company. So external work, that doesn't show me anything. When he's inside, he can. Who knows how he got inside, right? But when I see him kicking down walls and stuff like that, if you're trying to convince me you own this school or you got some type of business, in this school, now that's more believable. When you're knocking down walls or you're physically painting, at least I believe, okay, yeah, he's tied to this school one way or another. But the external stuff outside, man.
There's a lack of evidence in marketing and promotion, right? That's what you're saying.
He's doing a poor job convincing the public that
proof of authenticity. Right? Okay. Okay. The lack of proof of authenticity. So I'm a spade player, right?
Yeah, me too.
I'm always weary about laying all my cards out.
Right.
Because I could be trying to do a strategy that won't work if people know it already had.
Oh boy.
On one end. On the other end, I would be more critical of him if he was doing house hunter type of footage, right? Because then I'd be like, oh, he's trying to, showcase too much theatricality. So on one end, it may be the lack of theatricality and exposure. On the other end, too much theatricality and exposure could make it seem as though it's an ulterior motive outside of what the institution is supposed to be built for. So sometimes it's kind of hard to thread that needle, even though it can be legit criticism on either end. None of those things mean that he's not at least trying to do what he claims to be doing.
Okay, now that's the part because that's the part I have a problem with. Trying and don't get it done. All right, you could be trying to cut my hair, but if you're screwing it up, no, you don't get credit for trying to cut my hair if you're not qualified to even cut my hair. So the trying part that commits me. It's a 14-year project. I had already showed my chat. Okay. People turning schools larger than what he got into 300 luxury apartment units, all type of fancy stuff they do within five years. way bigger projects, way more gutting, way more modern innovation. He's not knocking down walls. It's the school. He's keeping everything intact, right? He's going to paint. He's going to add more heating, cooling, things like that. But he's not going to completely do a renovation job like I've seen other schools get gutted completely, skeleton, and transformed to luxury apartments. And anybody can YouTube. Stop. Anybody can YouTube this. It took them 5-6 years. All right.
Apples and oranges alert, bro.
No, it's not apples and oranges. It's
a person would get way more backing to do what you just said.
Yes.
Financially, administratively, and other ways. You get way more backing doing a for-profit endeavor that's going to yield a whole lot of passive income versus a private school with ethnocentric and separatist ideologies involved.
Sir,
like,
right?
You're not going to get the same backing, the same patronage, the same anything.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, right. but give a good comparison of something that's closer.
There is no good comparison because nobody
to what's
does
going
like
on.
The only comparison we can use is Jay Morris and who's calling me? Oh, I guess they got something going on in this shit. You heard that? Yeah. Oh, my iPads are. All right. Yeah, so like there's no good comparison because it just failed projects that when people try to do it that way, which I call extremist way, like because we can talk about the necessity of such a school, such an idea, which I think is extreme to begin with. Like like the idea itself.
So that your sentiment for that crossing over into your criticism of his approach?
I'm gonna say the idea of a school itself is extreme and was always unnecessary. That's not the complaint in the Black community, that we need a whole entire school. Our complaint is outdated resources. Our complaint is teachers unqualified, things like that. And you got the discipline thing, the school to prison pipeline. Like our complaint, or the lateness, the truancy. So there are different things we argue about, but getting a whole brand new school is not one of them. So to introduce that idea as a solution was like forced on us. That was not a demand from my community.
Wait. You said, okay, to introduce that as a solution. Do you think that he was creating one school as being a solution to our national problem?
What is it? Okay, let me ask you this. What is the national
it's like
problem?
You're turning the first down into a touchdown now.
No, I don't think there's. What is the national problem? We might disagree on just that.
The things you just said, school to prison pipeline. That's the one that was notable to me, and the like three other things that you said. All of those things are national issues for our people. Correct.
Yeah, but they all start at home though. That has nothing to do with the school.
Yes, they do, which is why grassroots and on the ground endeavors must be made. They're like seeds that, if cultivated right, could yield a greater harvest later on down the line. But again, if you're going to talk, so beware of the composition division fallacy, which is when we take a part of something and turn it into the whole. If we're going to do that, either we're going to be on the parts, or we're going to be on the whole. Are we going to transition from the part to the whole, or the whole to the part? But in any way, it'll be contextually succinct. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just it's just so much to cover on that it's just like I said, the idea itself, a Black school for Black boys, like that idea has been an extremist idea that has been a nothing burger throughout.
Well, what about Catholic, white Catholic schools for Catholic boys? Has that also been a nothing burger over the last century?
It's been very successful. That's why we even go there. So what they don't do. So listen what the nothing burger is. All right, listen what the nothing burger is.
Okay.
So it's not that when we say schools, right, and the subjects. Let me ask you this: what is the number one subject we believe that we need to like be involved in, that's being taught to our youth?
Some probably would say science, math and science. At this point, right now in 2025, I would say reading.
Okay, so, all right, I'm trying to, so how is, math, how is, oh, okay, explain when you say someone say math and science. Why would they say math and science? That's the first I heard that.
Well, because like STEM, for instance, the ability to create more innovators, more engineers, more people who are technically sound in their contributions to society instead of just entertainment or a few other go-to things.
All right. So, what do you think Umar's problem was? What do you think his problem was that he felt like not his problem, but what do you think the problem he pointed out to that we needed a school for? Like, so, like, if you could, like, if you could just think of some things, like number one, number two, number three, or number one.
Yeah, for one, too much state and federal oversight in reference to curriculum and policy. I'll give an example, even though it's in Chicago and it's probably not that extreme over there. In those East Coast blue states, we're probably not too far behind. We have a thing called parental bullying in Illinois, where if a parent says, look, son, I can't tell you how to feel or how to express yourself, but as long as you're in my house, at least as long as till you're 18, I don't want you dressing out in female attire. In Chicago and other places in Illinois, right now as we speak, that could get you fined, your children taken, or even going to jail. You could possibly go to jail for, they call that parental bullying.
Okay.
That's just an example of the type of things that make Umar and a whole lot of others want to have an educational institution outside of the influence of other agencies.
Yeah. See, I don't believe that's like, I don't think, I think a lot of things we tie to school, like even prisoners, school to prison pipeline. I think a lot of things we say it's a school problem is not a school problem. It's actually a home problem. So what people call the school to prison pipeline, I call it the home to prison pipeline. Okay. It's a lot of things that start, it's a lot of things that's deeply rooted that started in the home that led to, guys.
I mean, do you believe that it takes a village?
I believe it takes a sane village. I don't think it's not an insane extremist, extreme radical village.
No matter how. So look, even like in the hood, right? Like inner city hood of Chicago, the village birthed more killers and more drug dealers, right? So it still took a village to raise a child. It depends on the contributions and the input of the people in the village, what type of children they raise. But regardless of the positive or negative ramifications, that has nothing to do with the cause and effect. The causal influence of the village and the affecting results of the child.
All right. So what about Umar diagnosis that a lot of these problems are as the ADD? Okay, he said out his mouth, ADHD is really not a real thing. That's a no daddy at home. So that was his diagnosis on that. How you feel about that?
Like most things, I feel as though it's truth to it. I do believe that due to the influence of big pharma, that a lot of children are over-medicated. I also think that the Western symptom-based way of looking at things is also flawed.
Oh, shit.
And there are appeals to authority involved. Right? So shit. I don't know. You may dogmatize the institutional authorities. I don't. Right? Okay. So let me say this little piece. Now I'm gonna land this plane, right?
Yeah, please.
The notion that if you have this issue, then there's this chemical imbalance. So I'm going to take this synthetically extracted chemical and it's going to counterbalance that imbalance. You have a whole nother side of medicine that looks at the source of issues in order to rebalance.
What medicine is that?
What medicine is that? Eastern medicine.
Oh shit! All right, so look, hold on. Before we do that shady stuff, do you realize that Umar, or do you know that he's the only school clinical psychologist in the world that said ADHD is a result of no daddy at home?
No, right? No.
Okay.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. So hold on.
No,
hold on.
I don't. No.
All right. Let me. Okay. Cool,
wait. No, because you loaded that up.
Nah, that was a one. That was he's the only clinical school psychologist to come up with that diagnosis, and so we need to know how did he come up to that? Okay, so brother,
exactly. So let's get to the bullet points.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of people who criticize ADHD.
Wait,
and the way that kids are over medicated.
I got it. Just hold on one second. Let me get some words.
Not just him.
No, but brother, the difference is that they believe it's real, and they say, let's use art. Okay, they say they believe it's real. Okay, they acknowledge ADHD is a real thing. They just disagree with the overuse of medication, but they believe it's real, and none of them say it's your daddy ain't home. Okay, so now we need to see. Right, hold on, wait. Let me say this last thing. So for you to be the only man on earth to make a bold claim like that, you need to have some research behind you. You need something.
Okay, let's do an exercise, bro.
No. Wait. No,
share your screen.
Wait, hold on.
Do me a favor. Share your screen, and let's go over something like show the bullet points of the main symptoms of ADHD.
Hold on.
And then let's see if it has any correlation.
No.
To the lack of a father in the family unit that you say is the most influential part of the development of a child.
Correlation. See, I'm a research guy. Correlation does not equate causation. So you can have a lot of correlations, and that's not the cause. That's not necessarily the causation. So correlation does not work. Yeah, but that's not how it works in research and science. You need exact causation. So we would like
have to get there. We have to get there. It's a process, is it not?
I got it, but the burden of proof is on the doctor. If a doctor says something, and he's absolute, like Umar was, we need to see the research.
Okay, so let's get to these symptoms.
Let's get to these symptoms
so we can stop speculating.
I don't want to connect his dots. He's the doctor. He made the claim. Yeah, well,
let me connect a few of them.
Because you're not a doctor.
So it won't seem so flabbergasted.
Anyway, let's move on to Umar because he has to
bring them symptoms of ADHD, and I'm gonna show you the impact, the increased plausibility.
Well, let's come back.
Plausibility. That's something that's intellectual and scientific. To measure, to speculatively measure degrees of plausibility. You have to do that in order to even get to a logical route to causation. And you know this.
For the plausibility.
So we're doing degrees of plausibility. You're making it completely implausible.
Well, no, anything.
No degrees of logical plausibility.
Anything's plausible. But look, let's move on to, because Umar isn't done. It's possible that this school can be built, in the next year or so. So his chapter not closed. He still got room to his chapter not closed. He still got.
Would you help him?
No, because I believe it's useless, and I believe it's unnecessary.
Is that only because of the separatist nature of it?
I believe it's totally unnecessary, and I believe he's a quack. He's a wacko, to be honest.
Okay, do you consider it to be totally unnecessary in other communities, other ethnicities, who's been doing? Well, why have they been so helpful in like Ukrainian village, in Greek town, in Chinatown? Catholic Irish communiures. They do the same thing.
Yeah, but it's not extreme. For one, Umar said this. Look how extreme he is. He said the women that will go there, they have to have their natural hair. Right? Nobody doing that. And then he said, okay, regardless of your religious background and whatever, you have to learn this African spirituality.
All education institutions have standards and policies like that. Did you also criticize the institutions that say that you can't wear your natural hair at all?
Hey, brother, listen. All I know is when it comes
I'm
to
asking,
us,
did
I'm
you?
answering. I'm answering. All I know when it comes to us, it's more easier for white folks to say, hey, this is a Catholic school and you got to learn Catholicism, or this is a Mormon school, you got to learn this, or this is a Jewish school, you got to learn this, because that is pretty much their history. Like they've been Catholic, they've been Jewish, they've been Mormons, pretty much. Or that's very common. We are divided in so many faiths, spirituality systems that's like school suicide to say, hey, you have to learn this right here. When we're Islamic, we're this, we're atheists, we so many things, bro. Like you just cut the pie in half or to quarters. People ain't coming just based on that. And then you say, hey, the women. Now we know our sisters, they damn near all of them got some type of wig on. And you sit there and say, hey, you guys can't come like that. Right? How many comment? Like so many women are insecure their whole life that wore something attached to their hair. So now you're gonna have them just drop it and have this security like that. That's not even realistic. Like they're
can I speak on that example? Sure. Can I speak on that example specifically?
Sure.
Would you agree that regardless of who we point the finger or blame to, that there's a large degree of the lack of self-esteem and the lack of self-love within our community?
Yeah.
Would you also agree that there's a lot of Eurocentric programming, including with beauty standards, that added to the inferiority-superiority complex?
Yeah.
But you don't agree that a way to counterbalance that imbalance is to head towards the other extreme in an attempt to balance things out?
No. What I would say is, this is what I said earlier. I said, well, not today, but early before. I said, you can encourage other ways. Like you could have Maya Angelou on the wall. You can have all these, like you could let girls wear their own little natural hair. I mean, have their whatever they want, any coloring, what they want. Not too wild, but their hair done the way they would normally do it, right? But have all these images of the 60s and 70s of beautiful women with their froze out, and then have a class, teaching on that. And because those women all felt beautiful. When they had the Afro thing going on, ain't none of them felt like they were lacking something. Like they all felt, and they were all married too. So the men thought they were beautiful too with the Afros. So like there's other like subtle, indirect ways you can like introduce it without the extreme way, because, I just think that's wild. To tell somebody can't come because they're going to wear some extensions or, wig. I don't know, man.
But you're okay with other groups of people that are more organized, with more resources, being more effective at doing what you just said?
Yeah, well, yeah, because
they've been doing this, but for some reason it's a problem when we do it.
Well, not we, because like one person is doing it, and
our ethnocentric demographic does it, i.e., Umar.
Right.
Well, I mean, he's in my same ethnicity. Is he also in yours?
What's his ethnicity? Is he Cuban?
So-called African American, erroneously, commonly, colloquially called African American.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so we all in the same demographic.
I thought he was Cuban.
He grew up in Philly, right?
Yeah.
Or in or around Philly. I know he knows the UNIA headquarters very well.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think he will be classified as African American, Black African American.
I think so too. So that's what I'm saying. The things that you're saying sounds more like an approach issue with some ideals that you all disagree with. He may be more of a separatist, and you may be more of an integrationalist. But what you're saying in reference to building an institution to have a cultural influence on a specific group of people, you don't feel like that with any other ethnicity, a national group who is doing it and has been doing it. On the contrary, the most powerful people that we know on this planet engage in race-first ways of applying their power more than anyone else. The Anglo-Saxons, Ashkenazi Jews, Russians, Chinese, for the most powerful people on this planet. And they all stick up for their own before others. They all have institutions that are specialized for their own. And nobody has a problem with it. Only when we do it.
No, I think you kind of misrepresenting me. So let me just clear it up.
Chat. Yes, sir.
Chat. I believe we're race first too, obviously. Okay, but all of us ain't got the answer, Sway. Some of us are radical as hell and it ain't gonna never work. 14 years in, nothing. Okay. And some of us get it done. Okay. In a practical, timely manner. Okay. So what I'm saying is everything you're saying, I'm for. But you got to have the right person, the right qualified people, not person. You need qualified people there to get that done. A lot of us, go ahead.
I couldn't help but agree with you on that.
Yeah, so a lot of us, like, yeah, I just want to say this for fun. A lot of us, you know, going back to the early, you know, 1900s, we had Daddy Grace. Like, we had these figures that say, I can solve your problem. Okay, all these pseudos, the Noble Drew Ali, like all the Elijah
Hold on, don't do the Drew. we could go on segue real quick. You go try to do the Drew.
Nah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know much about him, so let me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I get what you're saying in reference to the common way that most people think like of him.
I alone have the answer, and God has sent me, because I think Drew's along those lines, like the problem.
But he never said he alone had the answers, though.
Okay, cool. All right, so
I promise you, he told us to exclude
him.
I'm gonna give you 3 quotes real quick. Take what I gave you and save yourself. 1, right? 2, get a good European education so I can use you.
Yeah.
3, the new Moors will come in seeing and knowing that to sit you old Moors down and carry out my law. 1 more for extra. Greater things shall ye do. It was always supposed to be a template that we built more on, so that the people will know that there's more wisdom to be learned from the descendants of Africa.
Yeah, I might be unfairly looking at him from the people today.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole nother issue that I can definitely understand, because most of them is, you know, running around here kooky as hell.
Yeah, so I'm probably misrepresenting him from what I see today. All right, so I'll take that back.
Good said. I mean, good. I can't even say rebuttal though, because it wasn't, you know, combative, but good response though, man.
Yeah,
touche on that one.
All right. So, but anyway, you see what I'm saying though? It's a lot of these me guys arising, saying, "I have the answers. I alone. I got it. I got the solution for all of your problems." So, and that kind of like is a good segue to Marcus Garvey, because I believe he was one of those that came along that line of reasoning. Yeah, I got the answers.
Okay, let's get ready.
Watch me do this and sit back. I got
you. Yeah. So do me a favor. Yeah. You ain't got to put it up on the screen.
I'll do it.
But Google the 11 aims and objects of the UNIA.
All right, hold on. I'll do that. Let's get into it. Hold on.
Because it's something about what you said about going back to Africa and a few other things, right? They don't say nothing about him saying that everybody wasn't going to go, that was a recolonization effort. And then the people end up misconstruing and taking the ships that he purchased, and think that we was just supposed to be all going to get on the ship and go back to Africa. Hey, when they ain't got nothing to do with whatsoever. Right? So what am I doing? Everything to do with import-export between the African mainland, the Afro-Caribbean islands, and us on the mainland, and getting into the manufacturing and distribution instead of just retail.
What am I Googling?
Okay. But if you look at those, first off, the Universal Confraternity is the first of the 11 aims and objects.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. What you say?
I said, what am I Googling again?
The 11 aims and objects of the UNIA.
Oh yeah, I think I'm familiar with some of this stuff. This is where Elijah Muhammad got his wants and beliefs from. 11 aims and objects.
He was a UNIA member at one point as well. So yeah, you got a point with that.
You said 11 and even a uniform, the military style uniform. So you said 11 aims and objects of what?
The UNIA. UNIA.
Yeah.
Hyphen ACL. Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League.
If you can see my screen, let me see if this is it right here.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
All right. Okay. So let's, damn, what's it good?
If it don't show them 11, see, now go to images. Let's see.
The Declaration of Rights, that's where they got it from.
Declaration of the Rights of the Negro People, but the 11 aims and objects. It's so interesting that they wouldn't have a picture of that on there, because those, it's like the 10 Commandments for the Bible.
Yeah.
The 11 aims and objects is everything that what Garvey built stands on. And it has everything to do with doing what we can where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Not running somewhere else thinking that's going to save our problems, but becoming more powerful all over. And our influence being able to be more impactful to Africa and abroad.
And you think it was practical?
Yeah, let's get to them. Like, soon as we get to them, yeah, I'm going to show you. Because it had local, regional, national, and international implications.
It says okay, so it says the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, founded by Marcus Garvey, aims to unite people of African descent, promote racial pride, achieve industrial, political, social, and religious emancipation with a focus on self-reliance and building a civilization of their own. So it said this is a more detailed breakdown of UNIA. So this is all 11 right here. Unity and emancipation.
No, it's not. The first one is a universal confraternity among the race. Yeah, keep going, scroll past AI real quick. Because you might have a link where it's showing the
okay.
Here we go. Look, even right there. There they go. Yeah.
Right.
Even though I hate that. It's the older version. When it comes to
we want that Old Testament. We don't want that New Testament.
You're so funny.
All right.
To establish, I think you went, hold on, go back up. Yeah, I saw to establish a universal code. No, stop.
Okay, I see it right there.
See, the declared objects of the association are? There we go.
Okay.
There's 11 of them, right?
Okay. So
to establish a universal confraternity among the race.
Among the race, yeah.
Some people might not be able to see it because that's me. Okay. I just had to move you out the way of my screen. But anyway, to establish a universal confraternity among the race. Again, you don't have to, everybody ain't got to go back to Africa to do that. On the contrary, if the goal was for everybody to go back to Africa, then it'd just be a continental confraternity instead of a universal. All right, to promote the spirit of pride and love, to reclaim the fallen, to administer to and assist the needy, to assist and civilize the backward tribes of Africa. We can talk about that. To assist in the development of independent Negro nations and communities.
They were definitely backward. Okay.
Yeah, you already know. Especially in them times, right? They were still colonialized.
Oh yeah.
In many ways.
I know the shit they were doing over there. They uncivilized stuff, primitive.
So these things, right? Even to establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people. That's something that Umar is trying to do himself, regardless of how you criticize his approach.
Himself and Garvey trying to do this himself. Yes, that's the thing.
Nah, hold on now. You segue in a negative connotation very smoothly with this doing himself part. Now, you tell me where in the 11 aims and objects could any one person, including him, do it himself?
Well, that was his model.
You tell me.
He was
this model. Where's the me in this model?
No, he was the authoritarian.
Was he? So yes. Are you familiar? You saw earlier the Declaration of the Rights of the Negro People. Yes. I don't know if you're familiar with the Constitution and bylaws, right? But do you know that all of those things were voted on, including the flag? What those colors mean? They were voted upon. There were things that were proposed by Garvey on the floor, the first convention. There were things proposed by other leaders on the floor. There were things that Garvey proposed that got shut down. There were things that Garvey proposed that the people voted on. So it wasn't totalitarian, but a person would have to actually engage in the Universal Negro Improvement Association to find that out.
So Garvey's not the father of Pan-Africanism, right?
You say what?
He's not the father of Pan-Africanism, right?
I would. Okay, so yes or no, right? Okay. Yes, in reference to the Pan-African Conference that occurred in Africa, right? With people coming from all over. And from that point forward, Pan-Africanism being a misnomer, huh?
What year was that?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. But okay. Google first annual Pan-African Conference.
All right. Would this be during Garvey time or before or afterwards?
Garvey had passed away by that time, okay. But W.B. Du Bois and Garvey's second wife was still living, and both played intricate roles in it going down, right? So these 11 aims and objects that you see right now are the reasons behind the Garvey Must Go campaign. The Talented Tenth and all them felt like this stuff would have massa coming down on us harder. I personally think that it takes the field and the house combined to take over the plantation. Instead of trying to figure out a more blue collar or more white collar way of doing things. We need both.
So let's get into the Garvey Must Go campaign. I know a little bit about that. So what's your issue with that?
My issue with that is what you have on the screen is what they were against.
Nah, they weren't against that.
How you figure when this is what they were doing?
Hey, what do you want? Okay. Here.
This is what they were against. This is what WEB, this is what Mr. What's his name? Johnson, they made Jet and Ebony magazine. They felt like what Garvey was pushing would lead to more antagonism from the powers that be that could disrupt their illusion of inclusion and the gains that they had the grounds that they had gained in a more affluent lifestyle. They felt like all that, what them people were doing in Harlem and everywhere else, could possibly disrupt their station, right? And they felt like it was backwards. The funny part about it, Pan-Africanism shows that even W.B. Du Bois himself had to modify and adjust his strategy and incorporate Garveyism under the umbrella of Pan-Africanism. That's why he went to Garvey's wife, so that she could give other notable figures the green light, like, yeah, rock with him. He doing it for all of us. Because later on in his life, he realized we couldn't go along to get along. Me personally, I feel as though it's going to take an amalgamation of both structures, both angles, to triangulate what we're looking for. Not just one or the other. We got to figure out how to use both. It's played out to be steady doing a polarized, dualized, one way or another type of thing, instead of trying to find a balance of utilizing both sides of the fence.
All right. Brother, who do you believe started the Garvey Must Go campaign?
Who do I believe started it?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't give you everybody, the name of the one who said it first, or none of that. I know that the guy who made Ebony and Jet magazine was in it. W.B. Du Bois was in it, and a few other notable people as well.
Yeah,
most of the talented 10th were in it. Most of the notable, more affluent, white-collar, aristocratic Negroes of the time.
Okay. Hold on, let me. So, are you now? I'm gonna jump back a little bit, and I'm gonna jump back. So I'm gonna pause that right there, jump back, because I was speaking about the father of Pan-Africanism. How do you see Martin Robinson Delaney role in Pan-Africanism? Like, do you believe he could be the father?
He may have been one of the first to express it in reference to the universal confraternity among the race. He may have been the first to express it and coin some terms. In reference to that, I think he's notably considered to be the father.
Okay.
From a historical standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know when you can really put a date on that, because you always had some of us that felt that way, that was self-determined.
Yeah, I'm focused. Yeah, I'm sure. But a lot of them felt that way because they didn't have citizenship in this country, and they were. So Martin Delaney Robinson, brother, by the way, he was a free black. So you had a whole bunch of free blacks that was not being enslaved, and it was nothing really for them to do, and they were being discriminated against, and they were being marginalized, and a lot of things like that was happening to them,
right? And
they were being blocked out of labor. So they was trying to come with something like the free black society, something amongst themselves to protect themselves from white racism.
True.
Okay. So you have Paul Cuff, right? Paul Cuff was a successful entrepreneur who actually built ships. He had a fleet of ships, and he actually went to I think Sierra Leone, Liberia, somewhere over there, and he took 38 free blacks with him. So what I'm saying is
he was an inspiration for God.
Right. So what I'm saying is a lot of the early Pan-Africanists, their motivations were entirely different from the later Pan-Africanists like Garvey. So and that's why when the opportunity of citizenship was afforded to them, they came back to America, took that, and they died Pan-American.
Okay, so pause on that claim you just made for the sake of burden of proof.
Yep.
Reasons that you said there's a difference in reason.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or are you saying it's a difference in the approach for the same goals?
No, I'm saying
because if you're saying that it's a difference in reason, then I would have to ask you to elaborate on that.
Okay, cool. So they just wanted citizenship because they knew without American citizenship that they were not American and they could easily be deported or treated in a certain way. This is what the Dred Scott case was about. His rights were not respected by white people because he had no citizenship. So a lot of free blacks, they wanted citizenship. So the ACS, you familiar with the ACS?
Yeah.
Okay. The American Colonization Society wanted the free blacks out of the country, and they established
repatriation movement.
Right. So now they established a colony in Liberia, and the ACS were white supremacists. They had no good reason. Okay. Everything was nefarious. So they established a colony. They owned land in Liberia, and they were trying to resettle these free blacks, not the enslaved blacks, the free blacks in Liberia to get them out of the country for nefarious reasons. One of them is that they didn't want these free blacks to inspire other enslaved blacks to seek freedom. That's one. And second, they didn't want these free blacks to compete with good whites with labor, right? Jobs. Right. So they was trying to get them into Liberia for that reason, but they was painting Liberia out to be this glorified picture,
Yeah, but bear in mind, you got to bear in mind too, though, that these nefarious reasons that you're saying that tie into a selfish way of looking at self-preservation are also rooted in truth, though. They all said that both of us free on this land ain't never gonna work out. And one's gonna end up fighting and competing and effing each other up. So we need to be separate. Now, how they meant to do that, of course, at our expense and at their profit, yes, that's true. I ain't getting none out of that, but let's also bear in mind that there's a truth that we can still see reflected to this day. I don't agree with the method and approach, but let's also bear witness to the truth that is rooted in.
Okay. So you had early Pan-Africanists like Alexander Cromwell, you had early Pan-Africanists like Richard Allen, and you had who was another one? Okay, but most of them dropped. Those Pan-African ideologies once they got American citizenship. Matter of fact, some went to Liberia. Richard Allen already abandoned it. He never went. He abandoned it. But he felt like ACS was painting this beautiful picture beyond belief. But once citizenship was on the table, they all fought in the Civil War and they got the citizenship, and they didn't go to no damn Africa. Now watch this.
That's not being Pan-African. Ain't just relegated to going back to Africa.
Now, of course.
Okay, so like for instance, you know there are Chinese people who feel that they have an affinity towards and connection to their Chinese homeland, even if they've never stepped foot in. Like there are many people in Chinatown. There are people in Chinatown that ran from regimes that don't like the regime. And there are people in the Chinatowns of America that do like the regime. All right, but they all still consider that to be their homeland and all of them to be Chinese people.
Oh, that's another thing. No, we should, yes, but when it comes to us, we did not feel like we were African. So at that time, a lot of these, a lot of these free black men did not feel like they was African at all. They had no African culture, no African language, no ties to Africa. These are people 200 years later from chattel slavery. They had no direct connection, and the word African itself, again, it raised a red flag of deportation. Like you can be deported out of this country. Like they can
I couldn't agree with you more, bro.
Yeah, like into Liberia. Now listen, estimately about 12 to 15,000 free blacks, not enslaved blacks, were resettled in Liberia, pretty much against their will. They were left with no choice.
Yeah.
So this resettlement, this repatriation ideology was forced on them by white supremacists. A lot of them.
And then what did they do when they went over there? Right, they tried to colonize the indigenous people, right?
Yeah.
Treated them like they were savages.
Yeah. But let me tell you why. Because Paul Cuff and Alexander Cromwell, this is where W. Du Bois get his ideology from the Talented 10. They felt like the elite amongst the free blacks should go over there and do the things the correct way. So the white man undermined them and sent everybody over there that was free. So they never had like the right class, the elitists. Like you got the Nigerians coming over here, and they could lead by example for the Nigerians. That never happened with us. So they undermined the intellectuals of us, the businessmen, the savvy of us, like the Mark Delaney's, and they sent anybody over here, even like the criminals, the troublemakers on the plantation. They all went. The runaways, they went over there, and yes, they end up. And that's a mixture of beliefs, mixture of education. They weren't as educated as Delaney or Alexander, these guys. So they went over there with their own ideologies, their own personal agenda. And don't forget, they don't even know why they're over there. They was given no choice. Hey, go back to slavery or take your ass to Africa. And you want to get out of slavery? So they were manumitted as well. Hey, you want to get out of slavery? Yeah, okay, Africa only, like Liberia only, and we own that colony. And so it was like a lose-lose. The guys had no.
But they all still had a desire to break away from a colonial identity and to reestablish an ancestral identity or ancestral-based identity of their own.
See, I don't know about that. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is that
regardless if the circumstances or the proximity locations may have changed, but that fire of self-determination shaking off a colonial identity and creating one that is reconnected to our ancestral roots is a flame that was never extinguished.
Nah, I don't believe that flame existed largely amongst these people. These folks felt like they fought for America, they died for America, for different things, and they wanted just to be American, and they wanted rights and citizenship, and they wanted to be left alone, but they wanted to be an American.
You make me want to go get some PDF writings of the people that you named.
Yeah.
That would say totally different.
No. I got it.
Now, do you really want to do that?
Yes, I do.
I know about the people you're talking about. I studied them. I admire them.
Me too. But you're going to realize why JJ rocked with me, okay? Because my research on a different level And whatever I talk about, I know it in advance. So, brother, I'm not freestyling. Okay, the people I named, I know.
So the burden of proof is on you. Could you show some writings?
Okay, sure.
Of these people saying these things that they abandoned an identity of reconnecting to their ancestral roots?
Well, the writing I'll do later because I just got to freestyle that. But the research, let's just say because the research offered the writing. They say, hey, but I didn't think I had to go that far. I thought research is just research. But okay, but people.
Okay, so without trying to put, I ain't trying to say show and prove, right? Yeah. I'm literally saying take us to school.
Okay,
show us some of this stuff.
Okay, so Frederick Douglass is one of them. Frederick Douglass actually was rocking with Martin Delany for a little while when he came back and forth. What happened?
Okay, kind of.
Okay, so Frederick Douglass and again Richard Allen, they seen well, first of all, they went to Liberia, right? So it's one thing to say, hey, it got to be better than this, right? So that's why a lot of them was like, okay, cool, we ain't got a choice, but it got to be better than this. So when they went to Liberia, when they went to Sierra Leone and Nigeria,
they realized it wasn't better than this,
right? Because what I do, brother, I researched Nigeria's history. I know how they started with the British and the Shell BP. I know how terrible it was over there. And I know how the government undermined the people and left them with all type of oil in their water and killed off
wig zone. See, that's why Umar say take that stuff off, right? Because the blonde wig stuff in Nigeria that you studied, for instance.
And pretty much killed off the Ugandan people all for monetary gain. And we'll go on that a little later. But so anyway, so a lot of these black people, they rejected the term. So let's go here. A lot of them rejected the term African. They favored Negro and colored as better self-identifying. African, even the owner of the AME church and his later people that ran it resented that name and didn't want it there anymore. That's a fact. So so the African thing, people were not flocking to like that. They were forced over there. It's not something that they are looking forward to. But
yeah, the Black African thing is colonial as well. Okay, analogous to your name, Toby.
Yeah. So, but the
Black
thing
African Toby.
Yeah, but the thing they understood that even though it was forced, like Toby, the name was forced. They understood that this country wouldn't be here without that. So they understood their role. They understood their
wouldn't be here without what?
Without that forced labor, and that Toby. Yeah. So at the time, so they understood their role in this country was great. That's why a lot of them said, hey, we're not going nowhere. Screw that. Okay, screw what you talk about. We're going to stay here. All right. So now let me go back to the Go Marcus campaign. Garvey must go. Brother, the name is A. Philip Randolph.
Oh, yeah. A. Philip Randolph.
Okay, now.
The late great.
Yeah, now that's my guy. Okay. So now, A. Philip Randolph was different than W. Du Bois. He was different than the other guys you named, the Talent-10s. He did not agree with the NAACP. He didn't feel like black folks organized with white folks at all. So this is a different animal here. Okay. So now the reason why he started the Garvey Must Go campaign, because he seen what Garvey later admitted to. He seen the money was being fumbled. Okay. He seen that the advertisements were misleading. And he's seen just the outright scamming going on with Marcus Garvey.
Okay, them three things, bro. Yeah. You say money being fumbled.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And what was the second thing you just said?
The second thing, so money being fumbled, false advertisement, and then
false advertisement, and then you say outright scheme.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
And you're going with the the people on the other side of it portrayal of such, right? Which is lopsided in and of itself.
Nah, that's not.
But just remember this. Just remember this. And since you're well researched, I doubt that you would disagree with this.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, but just remember this. You had a young J. Edgar Hoover and a whole lot of other operatives.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
The first feds that were hired by the FBI were to get off in the UNIA building somewhere.
Wait a minute. J. Edgar Hoover involvement was by A. Philip Randolph and W. Du Bois. Like they are the ones that say, hey, come look at this scam. That was nothing that he took on upon himself. He were led over there. Black folks, black leaders said, hey, get this guy up out of here. Look what he's doing to our people. He promising them these.
Prior to that, he had already been doing reports on them. Okay, go back. Did you read the UNIA, some of the UNIA papers?
Hey, brother.
Marcus Garvey and the UNIA papers?
Yeah, but they, not all of it, but they were not even remotely probably near you. But I do know this, that they.
What about Race First by Tony Martin?
Watch this. No.
Are you familiar with Race First by Tony Martin?
I'm not, but I'm familiar with this. I'm familiar with their early investigation on Marcus Garvey. Had nothing to do with his business scheme. It had everything to do with communism, things like that. They were trying to figure out who is he and what is his agenda. But once they realized and felt safe that he's not a communist and he wasn't having those radical anti-American ideologies, they left him alone.
They knew he wasn't a communist in the first place. So again, we could talk about that and the African Black Brotherhood and other groups that were going on in Harlem and elsewhere, from Harlem to Oklahoma, if we want to go there, because I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. Okay. But you're doing some hopscotching.
No, I'm not.
In different intervals of time.
No. I'm sticking with, because we talked about earlier Pan-Africanism that you said you agree with, so I left it alone. Like there's no disagreement.
Right, you had A. Philip Randolph.
Yeah, so I'm
claiming that Garvey was scheming.
No, not right. not claiming, brother.
Yeah, claiming. Okay, I'm gonna say claiming.
Okay, but you and I talking, right? Wait, hold on. Is you and I talking, right?
Right.
You're gonna admit it. Watch this, brother.
What?
Was Marcus? Yeah, you're gonna admit it right now, like you never did before, brother.
Not at all.
Okay, well then you'll be lying. How about this right here?
Well, try me.
Cool. How did Marcus Garvey get his fundings?
How did he get his funding?
Yes. How did he solicit money?
Several avenues, right? One, membership dues.
Wait, but there's no membership at this
donation.
Time, right? Okay, donations.
Well,
right. So
there was no membership. Say a year. Say a year that you're saying at this time.
All right. So the donation, what I mean, let me
say a year. No, you said there was no membership at this time. What year? And
let me just be more specific.
That there was no membership.
So let me autocorrect.
19 what?
Let me be more specific. Where did the large portion of his fundings come from?
Okay, I'm gonna go down the list. Right, it's about 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right. Membership dues. Business ventures.
Oh yeah, you're done.
You say what? I'm what?
You're done. How did he get the money for those?
It was grocery. The African Communities League was the business part.
I got you. How did he get money? Wait, hold on. How did he get money? Wait, how did he get the money?
Delis in Harlem.
Yeah, all that. Watch this. I'm gonna sum it up right here. How did he get the money?
Hold on. I'm gonna give you all the. Wait.
Yeah.
Let me give you, and then let me get to the one that you want to hear about.
Okay,
right,
sure.
Drum roll.
Yep.
Selling stock in the Black Star Line.
Okay, cool. So let's do that, and then I'm gonna tell you right now. I ain't gotta ask you. I'm gonna tell you all those businesses he bought was through the funding of stocks. Okay, the stock money is how he bought all those businesses. Now those investors didn't know about that. They thought they were investing into shit, not a damn grocery store. But listen, let's go to the stocks, brother. Was he licensed to sell stock?
No, he was not.
Okay, was that illegal at the time?
Depending on the state jurisdiction.
No, did he get fined?
Depending on the state jurisdiction. So first off,
I got you. I'm so wait. You said
no, because it's different between federal and state.
Wait. Well, I'm gonna give you. But I got it.
You know this.
Hold on, I got it. But I'm gonna give you history though. Was he fined $100 for selling unlicensed stocks? Yes or no?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so he was selling.
I don't remember if it was exactly 100, but yes, he was fined for it. Yeah,
it was 100. Right, he was selling unlicensed stocks. Now, here's the other thing.
But your appeal to legality is crazy when you acting like it was just due process of the law.
Brother,
like
the dude has a background in printing in Jamaica, so he came over here and used that to print up some stocks that were not licensed.
Now you hopscotching. Wait, let's stick to the first thing you said before you pile in some more circumstantial stuff on.
That ain't circumstantial. You're gonna agree. Watch. If you got any
super circumstantial. Yeah, no, it ain't circumstantial that he worked in printing half his life. Yeah, that is true. right? One of the reasons why he was such an orator and reader. He always been around media. Yes, he was in the printing presses in Jamaica and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But that having that ability and trying to connect that to there being nefarious activity, which take me back to you saying bumble in the bag, to conflate bumble in the bag with unscrupulous and deceptive intent is it's remarkably unreasonable.
Okay,
because
so
you're not
did he advertise?
Put in play. Hold on, you ain't taking into consideration the people who were put in play to manage the bag. And to do problem. Business things, people who fumbled, it's people who fumbled the bag that were designated in the economic committees of the organization. There were people who were greedy with a lack of oversight. Yeah, there were a lot of failure from these brothers and sisters that was trying.
Okay.
They weren't business savvy. They weren't politically savy. And after deportation, Garvey said that he trusted too many people. If he could do it all over, he wouldn't have trusted so many people.
All right, brother.
But those things don't constitute to him being unscrupulous and deceptive, though.
I got it.
So I'm drawing the line between the two.
That's my burden, right? But that's my burden, right? I made the claim. I got to prove it, right?
Okay. I mean, go ahead and appeal to legality.
Okay. Cool. No. And
then put the court for it.
Now,
which was crazy. Like see, I actually,
hold on.
Studied
brother,
the
you
trial.
actually put a period. Oh yeah, I did too. This is my realm, brother. Listen.
Mine too, bro.
Okay, so we will see. All right. So the trial's something separate, right? So before there's a trial, there's accusation. Okay, so let's deal with that. So one brother, Marcus Garvey. Let's just start with let's establish truth. So when he had the ships, did the people he hired to manage or steer the ships, did they have any knowledge on how to work a damn ship prior?
Any knowledge of how to work a damn ship?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Okay. As minor and minuscule as it was.
Go. Okay, brother. Wait, I'm gonna unshare my screen.
Minor and minuscule.
Okay. Yeah.
To say they ain't know what to do on the damn ship whatsoever sound crazy.
Yeah, because it's documents.
He didn't have good people in play.
Okay, look, brother. After we done this changing a little bit, I'm gonna go to the screen and show you.
He didn't have good people in play,
brother. He didn't have quality. What black man could sell a ship? The hell, he wouldn't do sitting on ships. But
again, that's a lack of capability, not a lack of ethics and morals, though.
No, I didn't say that. I just want to establish a fact. You took it somewhere else and ran a touchdown with it. Okay, so I just want to establish a fact. So the chat don't know this.
Call me Barry Sanders.
Right. The chat doesn't know that he hired. This is some of the problems that W. Du Bois had. Philip Randolph and other folks. It was a mess up to begin with. Kind of like how I feel about Umar School and Jay Morris and Tulsa, Oklahoma project. Like they felt like it was a blunder from the beginning. And now it's starting to play out, and these hardworking blacks are squandering their money and time and effort in the wrong projects. At that time, black leaders were fighting for civil rights. They were fighting for labor rights. They were doing other practical things that was necessary in this country. And he came with this new plan.
Man, the UNIA was doing all that too, though.
Okay. Now watch this.
Members of the UNIA were also in doing the labor fighting and everything else.
Okay.
People like Malcolm X's daddy, Earl Little, for instance.
Okay. Well, A. Philip Randolph was the guy who was leading that right there. Now,
and you know that there were people who were members of all these organizations, and many of these organizations, right?
Okay.
That was doing double and triple duty. There was a whole lot of people with the red, black, and green buttons on at A. Philip Randolph thing, at the communist things, at the labor worker party things.
Nah, A. Philip Randolph was working with the Italians for the labor rights and the child labor rights. He was directly involved with that type of stuff by name. Right? I mean, we could just do research, and you're going to hear.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, any name
I'm saying it was Garvey ice everywhere, though.
That's speculation, but listen. Let's get to it. Did he advertise a ship that he did not own? Did he sell stocks for a ship he did not own? Yes or no?
That's a trick question, man.
Oh, it's a trick.
So it was 3 ships all together.
Right. And I could give you the name. I could give you
but I'm saying again, you hear how I'm answering your question.
Right. Disingenuous.
So you referring to the 3rd ship?
Brother, I'm just speaking.
Or the 2nd ship?
Brother, any ship.
No, because the way you load your questions, bro.
I loaded chat. Listen, I'm gonna ask
you again. Sharpshooter fallacy.
Hey, chat. I'm gonna ask the question again. Any ship. Did he ever advertise for any ship? Did he solicit stock sales for any ship that he did not yet own?
He solicited stock sales for the company.
Okay.
Within the business plan.
Okay.
And in talking before and after getting the 1st ship, there were plans and attempts to get more. That was a part of what was said.
Brother.
Because that's a part of what the company was doing. The Black Star Line was doing.
Did he solicit stock sales for a ship he did not own? Yes.
For the company.
All right. Okay.
The company.
All right.
With the promise of getting more ships and doing more things with them. Saying it as if he give me the money for this ship, which is why I asked you what you talking about, the 3rd ship or the 2nd ship.
This is why I researched.
I can get specific with each ship.
Okay, yeah, but I'm gonna share my screen.
You know what I'm saying? That's what the feds use to try to pop them with.
No,
but in all actuality,
did Marcus Garvey
they bought one ship, bought another one. You even know about people putting molasses in the engines and shit.
Yeah, I know about some of that.
You know about the sabotage going on.
Yeah, but I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with what he's responsible for.
I know you only dealing with stuff that make him look bad.
No, not make him look bad. If you did it, you did it, and you look bad. If you did it,
but he didn't.
Okay, I got it. So I'm gonna share my screen.
He fumbled. Yes, he did fumble things. He wasn't nowhere good of a businessman as he was an orator.
I got it. All right. Let me share my screen.
But dang, okay, that wasn't a part of his portion.
I got you.
But that don't mean that he was unscrupulous in reference to. And in reference to them ships, he was selling stock for the whole company. That planned on making a bunch of more. Again, it was for import-export purposes, man.
I got you.
He wanted to be importing and exporting from the African coast, the Afro-Caribbean region, and the mainland of America. A triangular route.
All right.
So of course it was in the agenda to get more. Get more boats. And because they weren't successful for a multitude of reasons, doesn't mean that they were on some fraudulent stuff.
I got you. I hear you. Okay. Let's go with the reason.
Like, did you ever really read the court documents, man? How thirsty they were.
Yeah. Hold on.
Did you ever look at the people who
we're going to get there? Oh, hey. Okay. Are you ever going to stop talking? Like, we were just having a discussion.
And at one point sold shares in a ship he did not yet legally own.
Now you're not.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay,
cool.
If I got carried away, I'm falling back now.
Imprisonment.
I don't know how to stop this shit.
What was the Black Star Line? Founded by...
You can talk myself and pressing the wrong button. Cool. I got it now. I'm trying to share my screen. I ain't gonna do all this back and forth with you ninjas. I'm going to the research. This is what he's not gonna do, chat.
I'm passionate about this, man.
Yeah, but you gotta be truthful as well.
You for people who don't know the story, you can Texas sharpshoot and pile your behind on with negative connotative elements, factoids, and fragments and stuff.
Just let me know when you're done.
But it's always more to the story than the things that you decide to pile on.
I know this.
And it's funny because I said earlier, what you're doing now, which I said earlier, you're going to appeal to legality.
Oh, no, brother, listen.
You're going to appeal to the legal system in the 1920s.
I got it. Let me just
against Marcus Garvey and be like what they trumped up on him and got him locked up on. He was really that crooked, scheming man.
Marcus Garvey. Yeah, sure. He was set up.
Like that's why. And I'm no matter who in the world it was on either side.
Can I read the research?
It could have been W.B. Du Bois.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take that at face value in the 1920s against a so-called quote-unquote black leader.
I got it. I understand, bro. That we call that blackology, by the way, in these spaces. All right, so let me just read this.
What blackology?
Can I just read
that the feds had a bone to pick and had some bias against organized groups from our ethnicity?
Hey, Chad, can I read the information? Because he said no, that the research says yes. Who's right? He's right, or the research? Okay. So yes, Marcus Garvey, through his ambitious Starline enterprise, did offer shares, what we would call today stock, in a steamship company, and at one point sold shares in a ship he did not yet legally own. What are you talking about?
In a steamship company, like I said,
okay,
Chad,
brother. It does.
The people listening.
Hold on. Wait. No, wait. You can't.
I'm on the right with what you put up.
Hey, brother, you can't talk over me. No, I'm still reading though. Hold on. I'm still reading. Right. Companies offer stock. When you buy stock, you buy into a company.
Right. That's why your question was loaded.
Okay, sure. So here's the answer. Yes.
Sold shares in the ship he did not legally own, right?
Okay. Relax. The answer is, look at my question. Did Marcus Garvey offer stocks for a ship he did not own? I asked that question. You said no. Research says yes. Marcus Garvey.
No, I said he offered stock in the company.
Brother, did he? Okay. Was it illegal? Yes or no?
Man, he offered shares in the company. I said, a part of that goal was buying multiple ships.
Let me just read the answer.
Can you show the people what happened with that ship? Why he didn't end up owning it?
Hey, brother, can I just read the research
talk about the BS that happened with that business deal?
These guys, these Pan-Africanists, they don't want no truth. Brother, can I just read the research?
BS in the business deal, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Y'all go search for yourself.
All right. No, you can share your screen
and research
what
this business deal he's talking about.
Or I could pull up what you want. Okay, got it. So, yes, Marcus Garvey, through his ambitious Black Star Line enterprise, did offer shares, what we will call today stock, in a steamship company. And at one point, what did he do? He sold shares in a ship, not a company. He sold shares in a ship. He sold shares in a ship. You see the language, bro? It doesn't say in a ship or a company. Okay.
Now let's talk about this ship that he did not yet legally own.
I got it. But let's.
Why does it say yet legally owned? Why does it say that? Tell the people why I say not yet legally owned. Tell the people why I say that.
He is out of control. All right.
He had a handshake oral agreement.
Can we read that?
And some faulty paperwork that he signed, thinking that he legally owned it.
Okay. And this is what they do, Chad.
Tell the whole story.
Hey, Chad, they tap out, they crash out on purpose so we cannot just get the information out. That's what he's doing right now.
So it's a crash out to get more in depth with this ship that he did not yet legally own.
We don't even know what the research says because you won't let it be read.
So let me ask you this,
he asked the question back.
Did the people who own the ship engage in shady business practices with him trying to buy it? Yes or no?
Yes. You see, I can answer a question real fast.
Yes, they did. Yes, did he? No, hold on. Did he sign paperwork under the guise being told that he would legally own it more than once? And they went up on the price on him.
Now you said the trial. Did Marcus Garvey
did he not sign paperwork thinking that it would make him own the boat, bro?
Hey, bro.
Yes or no?
I'm going to read.
Did he or did he not sign paperwork thinking that it would have him be the legal owner?
This is called a crash out.
Was he not deceived by the seller of the ship, bro?
He's purposely going to be rude.
Was he deceived by the seller of the ship?
This is a crash out, bro.
Was he deceived by the seller of the ship?
Can I read the information? It might just say that. It just might say that. Can I read it?
I'm asking you, historian. You know this story. That's why I'm asking you these things. You know what's going on right now.
Let me read this.
I wouldn't even be asking you these things if I ain't know the story, and you know this. That's why you're over there smiling and shit.
And you could come back and ask the question. Relax. Okay. So yes, Marcus Garvey, through his ambitious Black Star Line enterprise, did offer shares. We're going to also look up his stock chart as well. Did offer shares, what we would today call stock, in a steamship company, and at one point sold shares in a ship, not a company, sold shares in a ship he did not yet legally own. That's called scamming or defrauding his investors.
Okay, so pause right there. Pause right there.
There we go.
Did you pause right there? You making a claim.
I paused. Right? No, I'm reading the research. The research made the claim. I'm just reading.
No, you just added to that. You just said some words. Scamming in what you was reading.
That's called defrauding.
You put your own footnotes in there. If somebody was blind, they would have thought that was a part of what you was reading.
Hey, brother. This became a central issue. And this selling shares in a ship he did not legally own, this action became a central issue in the U.S. government's case against him, ultimately leading to his arrest and imprisonment.
The only thing they had.
Okay. Now look, it says, let's break this down.
Everything else fell apart.
I got it. Look what it says now. It's going to go deep. This is what you want. It says, let's break this down in detail. What was the Black Star Line? Founded by Marcus Garvey in 1919 as part of his broader vision for Black economic independence and global Pan-Africanism. The Black Star Line, BSL, BS, it's funny, those two letters are there, BS, was intended to be a Black-owned and operated steamship company that will facilitate trade and transport between Africa, this is what you said, the Caribbean, and the Americas, an economic wing of
because I'm a UNIA member. I studied this shit.
Okay, well, I don't know, man. You ain't know who A. Philip Randolph was. I don't know. So it says Garvey promoted the idea of repatriation and Black self-sufficiency, and BSL was to symbolize the ambition. Selling shares in the Black Star Line, shares were sold widely to members of the Black community, both in the U.S. and abroad. Garvey priced the shares at $5 each, so every day Black people could invest and have a stake in his vision. He encouraged the public to buy shares and an act of racial pride, not just profit. That sounds, we know what that is. Hey, let's buy back the block. We got that from who's talking about.
No, that ain't that. Knock it off. Hold on. See, he did it again, y'all. Wait, let me. Every time you got something to say negative,
that part you can try
I got a counterbalance for.
Yeah,
I got the antithesis.
Being funny right there. Go ahead. I was being funny.
I know. Hey, let me be a little. Go back up a little bit. Let me be a little funny.
All right, can we go back up?
Go ahead. I'm just messing with you. Do your thing, bro. Go ahead. No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay,
do your thing, bro. Night to
All right, buy back the block. All right. Wait, we'll get you back, so look. The key controversy, this is the SS Phillips Wheatley, originally the Orion. And here we go. This is the ship I'm talking about. In 1919, before fully acquiring the ship later, named the SS Phillips Wheatley, Garvey's newspaper, Negro World, published promotional materials depicting the ship as if it was already in BS's possession. That is, wait, let me comment on that. That is called scamming. That is called defrauding.
Okay. Now let me say something, bro.
Something they did not have. Go ahead.
Okay. Now let me say something, bro. This, ladies and gentlemen, when I was asking him earlier, if it was some shady, unscrupulous ownership selling him the boat that he admitted to and said yes, this is the boat that we're talking about. No. Originally the Orient. The owner of the Orient had him thinking that he bought it.
Nah.
Signing papers and everything.
Okay,
papers that actually didn't have him as the owner and end up biting him in the behind later. He also ain't tell people he did it more than once, went up on the price. The first time was thought they owned it.
With some research.
And then come to find out, no, he didn't. And go up on the price. See, he ain't saying nothing about that. He's appealing to legality. Like I said earlier. He's appealing to the integrity of the legal system in the 1920s against a leader of our people. That's what he's appealing to. Okay. To the justice system being accurate and righteous. He ain't saying that it was 15, 20 other things they also tried to book him on. And all that stuff fell through. That's the only thing that they got him with. And it was mainly because of the owner of the ship being shady and having him thinking he bought it more than once when the stuff he signed did not give him ownership.
Now, you said that a few times. Okay. All right. Now, brother, let me just use this analogy. So when I watch Shark Tank, right? When an entrepreneur is trying to get you to buy in, right, emotionally, the sharks would jokingly say, hey, Barbara, this is your type in an entrepreneur, because they know that she will buy into emotional stuff. And Mark Cuban, when it's tech, and of course, if it's a black entrepreneur, they push him on Dame, and then Dame and John, and then Lori, of course, if they got like something that's infomercial, they try there. But Kevin O'Leary would say this. He would say, I am a disciplined investor that don't work here. My name is Unbiased Ron.
Kevin is your favorite on Shark Tank too, is
actually Damon John. I like him more. I like Damon and Mark Cuban. But let me say this, brother. I am unbiased, Ron. I'm formerly known as Unbiased Sports in this community. All right. I'm an unbiased researcher. I don't get emotional. I don't do the black power. I don't they black, they doing them dirty. I don't do that. Okay. I'm respecting this community. Okay. I'm respecting this community because I do unbiased research. I don't play favorites. When JJ come over here and debate somebody who I rock with, I stay out of it. I don't give a damn how sloppy you get.
You playing favorites in this conversation, though,
no,
brother.
Sir.
Because you ain't let the people know that the seller of the ship had him sign paperwork more than once. That had him thinking he owned the ship.
Okay.
So for you to leave that out,
brother, you're just saying that. Yeah, we didn't read that. You're just saying
agreed earlier. The
no,
people
you talked about
the two yes or no questions I asked you agreed to. Now you finna backtrack.
Yeah, because you loaded that.
So he didn't. So you mean to tell me on record, live, you're saying that the seller of the Orion did not have Marcus Garvey signing papers thinking that they own the ship?
Let's see if we're going to read that. All right. So
no, I'm going to ask you. I'm asking you again because you act like you ain't agreed to it earlier.
Okay.
So are you agreeing to it for a second time live?
I'm going to conclude once I'm done reading.
Okay? Do you agree? Do you still agree? Yes or no? And I'm going to be quiet again.
Brother, do you agree that he promoted a ship he did not already
yes own? Now answer mine.
Okay,
so easy.
Wait. Now I got part B. Is that called scamming or defrauding in your mind?
Is that called scamming or defrauding in my mind?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, there you go. Check.
Because
I told you
he was signing stuff. Hold on. For everybody who don't know about the anatomy of a contract, if there is anything that's untruthful, that's a clause that makes it null and void. It's null and void if it's some untruthful or unscrupulous stuff involved. The seller was untruthful or unscrupulous and tricked people into thinking that they own something, paid money for and own something that they didn't. And him and the feds, J. Edgar Hoover himself, and all his cronies used this to lock that man up for 3 years.
5 years, but he got let out early. Okay. So
that is true. Ladies and gentlemen, that is true.
Let me ask you this. Legally, so I ask you your opinion now, legally, if you advertise something and you're getting money for it from the public, because they believe in one thing, but it's a show you the left hand and hit you with the right hand. So if somebody promotes something and asks for money, even like a purchase, a pre-order, whatever, and you don't own it, is that scamming or defrauding?
If I answer this with a yes or no, can I then ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay, he's a scammer.
Now let me ask you something.
Yeah.
While he was doing that, was he under the erroneous notion that he owned it?
I don't believe that.
Let's move right along. Let's keep going. I'm just glad this stuff live.
Yeah, you gotta
put it back up too.
Right, I'm here.
Don't lose this one.
Oh no, I won't. So you gotta.
I don't know what happened to it.
I'm still sharing my screen. Okay, so anyway, so the federal government alleged that Garvey and the BSL had used this U.S. mail system to fraudulently solicit investments in a ship they did not yet own. This was the basis of a mail fraud charge.
And that basis is based on the seller being shady and unscrupulous, like our well-researched brother agreed to earlier. Why don't you get into the, since you're such an unbiased researcher, get into the shady, unscrupulous deeds of the Europeans that own the boat in the first place? Like, speak on that since you're so unbiased.
Brother, I'm going to ask, what I'm going to do after I read this, I'm going to put that in the search. Exactly what you said it. Okay. Now, so he admitted that if you do that, if your company does that, it's fraud. His company did it. It's fraud. It's just that simple. All right. So this was the
appeal to legality, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, shit, man,
a special type of fallacy of logic.
If you're committing fraud, you better appeal to legality. Okay, so it says what happened legally. Garvey was indicted in 1922 and convicted in 1923 of mail fraud. And look, I'm not going to like belay. I'm just going to read this.
You have a lot of experience with dry humor, don't you?
Okay, so
you witty with that stuff, man. Yeah. No sarcasm.
Look, I'm just going to read this and just move. You could rebut and then we just move on right to something else. All right. So anyway, because anybody can just, I put the link. I don't know how this works, but I put the link in the chat. You guys could research it. All right. Anyway.
And then Google appeal to legality. Put that in there after you get through. I'll be with myself.
I can do that right now. I ain't got to wait for that.
Oh, even better. Yeah. Appeal to legality. Definition.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Fallacy. There we go.
Okay. So it is the appeal to law fallacy, also known as argumentum ad legum, is a logical fallacy that argues something is morally right or wrong solely based on its legality or illegality, ignoring the possibility that law and morality don't always align. Okay, I don't know.
Plain and simple. Thank you, AI.
I don't know what.
Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, because that had nothing to do with this. We both know, the chat knows, that he was selling stocks to a ship that he did not own. Okay. So
man, that was a silent sniper. He don't even know he got shot, ladies and gentlemen.
And yeah, do you know he also represented himself in court?
Keep going. No, don't try to scare. Keep going.
Anyway,
I mean, can you blame him in the 1920s?
Yes. Okay, so the prosecution, that's
I respect it, because guess what? Way before I became an upstanding citizen that I am, I tried to fight him myself as well. Only my dying grandmother saying, "Come home," was what made me bow down. And I'm glad I did, because she passed away 2 months later. So I respect that. But see, you may not have had experiences like that. So you're looking at it from the outside, looking in with your nose up, somewhere kicking your feet and toes up.
That's a fallacy, some anecdotal stuff. He's throwing in some personal experience.
Yeah, anecdotal and homonym.
Okay.
Appeal to comedy.
Okay. So look. Let's go here. He wanted to relocate Black people where in Africa?
Wait, when you say Black people, so-called Black people, erroneously labeled Black people, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah. Okay, so let's use the term they use.
Are you saying all? Are you saying every one of us over here?
No.
You wanted to put in Africa, or was Liberia just a piece of something?
Yes, I just a piece of.
Did he ever say, "Hey, all us, we gonna get on the boat and go to Liberia. All us, let's get out of America"? Did he ever say anything remotely close to that?
So what was his
yes
plans
or no?
For Liberia? I don't know.
Did he ever say? You've seen the philosophies and opinions. All of Amy Jack compiled. You've heard all of African fundamentalism. You know about these speeches, these lectures. Did you ever hear him say to his people, "We all gonna go back to Africa"?
I thought he said
yes or no?
I don't know, but I thought he said this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Garvey never said that.
Okay.
In none of his speeches, Liberty Hall. He never told everybody, "Hey, y'all, we all gonna go back to Africa."
So what did he say about Africa and those people? What did he actually say?
Said a whole lot of things.
So give us something. Give us something.
Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad.
There you go. So Africa for the Africans, right?
Those at home and those abroad.
I would take that as, because he looked at us as being African, right? So I would take that as, let's go to Africa. And he got these ships. So okay, so let's talk about the ships. So let's talk about the ships. Let's talk about
go back to the aims and objects. All those aims and objects are propagated wherever UNI members are at. In America, Cuba, Mexico, wherever the UNIA, wherever the red, black, and green and the UNIA was at, ones was demonstrating those principles locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally.
All right, brother.
Economically, politically, and socially.
Got it.
See, y'all don't really know about the Universal Negro Improvement Association.
You're showing us. You're teaching us. I have a question based upon what you're teaching. Okay.
What's the question?
What were the three steamships supposed to be used for?
Import, export.
Now, were
import, export, and transport.
Now, were they used for resettlement as well?
On the Liberia side, yeah, they'll take some through. But again, the majority was import, export. Guess what else? They was trying to get rubber. Look, not just dropping people off in Liberia, but getting rubber and bringing it back.
Hold on. Well,
let's talk about that.
We will in 1 second.
Okay.
So,
I know these things too, brother.
I got it. Okay. I get it. So we're going to establish truth. I like to see, when I have conversations, it's always built on honesty. It's never built on winning. It's always built on honesty. Okay, cool. So watch this.
That's why we're having such a great conversation.
Yes, but only one of us is mild-tempered. The other one is excited. All right.
All
right. So look.
That appeal to moderation if you want to.
So we kind of call that
appeal to civility.
Okay. So here we are. So resettlement, that was part of the game in Liberia, right?
Okay.
So he was picking up from the ideologies of the ACS that had that Liberia.
He declared himself the provisional president of the United States of Africa.
Shit.
Did you know that?
That's a large. Yes. You don't think that's a large title? And that's why they was clowning him. Like, yo,
no, but put it in context.
Oh shit.
Put it in context. You know who it remind me of?
Who? Dr. Umar?
Killmonger.
All right, hold on.
That's what it remind me of.
All right, hold on. Yeah, he was selling
for us to have our own Wakanda.
He was selling some Wakanda shit. That's what. Okay, but anyway.
And then have technology sent and level up sent wherever we at, so we can get it cracking wherever we at.
So brother,
the same thing Killmonger wanted is the same thing Garvey wanted, and I don't see no problem with that. At least not for us.
I do, because we didn't want that. That's something, like you said, that's something Garvey wanted, but we didn't want that over here. We were not fighting that bullshit.
We didn't want what?
Americans.
Man,
we didn't want what Garvey wanted.
Put them aims and objects back up, sir.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Yeah, that's what Garveyites was fighting for. Them 11 aims and objects.
Brother, okay, let's
are you calling that bullshit? Put it back on the screen, please.
Wait, hold on. I was asking a question before you said that.
Okay, my bad.
Okay. I was saying the resettlement in Liberia, an idea he piggybacked or he kept back alive from the ACS. So, brother, so let me start here. Because I don't want to load it up.
Firestone type company, too, played a role in that.
So I don't want to load it up. Okay, so what was his reason for meeting with the Klan? Let's start there.
A few things, man.
Go ahead.
It's a lot of lynching going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Red Summer.
It was basically a common goal type of conversation. I'm paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. This is just my opinionated understanding and interpretation of these things.
I bet it is, because that was some crazy
my
shit
understanding, my finite understanding, but well-educated understanding.
Nah.
It went something like this.
Yeah.
We don't want you in our neighborhoods. We don't want to live around you. We don't want you living around us. We don't want you fucking our daughters. We don't want to fuck your daughters. We want our own shit away from y'all. You want your own shit away from us. You gonna want to get back if we hurt any of y'all, and we gonna get some get back. Y'all keep hurting more of us. That was why that conversation was going, because it had to do with the lynchings.
Okay.
And other things that was going on.
Right.
And there was also a quote of him saying there's way more trees in Africa.
All right, so I'm gonna show you
to hang y'all on.
Got it.
So it was a meeting of the minds, because separatists and nationalists, nationalists have a lot of things in common. Separatists, nationalists have a lot of things in common.
Okay.
They want to be left alone, want to be what they own.
Right,
so they can come to an agreement on y'all be over there, we be over here. Y'all don't mess with us, we don't mess with y'all. That was the type of conversation that was being had.
I got it. Now, here's a question for you, yes or no. Was that typical behavior for Black leaders in America to meet with the Klan for anything?
Not at all. It was not typical behavior.
Got it.
But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call an appeal to popularity, also known as the bandwagon fallacy, where he's talking about what most people were doing, as if what most people were doing is ever the right thing, most intelligent thing, or most impactful thing to do.
Okay, so brother, why is he speaking to the Klan like they speak for white America?
You say what?
Why is he negotiating with the Klan? Like you said, we don't want to be around you. You don't want to be around us. Why is he negotiating with the Klan like they speak for white America?
Like who speak for white America?
The Klan.
What in the world type of question? See, your questioning be crazy, bro. But I'm gonna answer it.
I don't know how crazy that is. Hey, chat, was that
they
crazy?
Spoke for who they spoke for. You're talking at a time when the Klan was at its height.
Brother, I'm showing a chart of the 1920s.
Okay, so look, ladies and gentlemen, these are all the people that were like members, that were going to meetings, engaging in ceremonies, writing their name down in a book and participating. But the people in these areas as well that won't go to a meeting were also a part of the shadow network, or what people call the good old boy network. Not just these numbers. Does that mean that everybody who looked that way thought that way? No. But it was a vast majority more than what's being shown that didn't go to the meetings and didn't show their face, but inflicted their prejudice through actions of power in their own way.
So Greg, let me chime in. Where the Klan was most populous, we were not even there. Okay, so where the Klan was most populous in this country, we were not even there. Okay, so
the official Klan,
bro, I'm sharing my screen.
Like again, why are you conflating official KKK membership with bigoted, prejudiced influence?
I got it. Let me just get some words off real fast.
There's people who weren't signed members with Suits on, with Sheets on, that was
they go
partial with
but you don't know that
activities against our people.
But you wouldn't know that, and you wouldn't know their relationship with the Klan. So anyway,
who wouldn't know that?
Okay, you.
Oh wow. So now he's doing a ad ignoration.
Bro, you can call it what you want to call it. I call it just.
This is crazy. So let me get this straight.
Conversation. So I was talking, and you're gonna get it.
Let me get this straight.
Right?
I need get this straight. Let me get this straight from you. I'm trying to comprehend you.
Sure.
Right.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Are you relegating the Klan's influence on European people in the 1920s based on these numbers?
Brother, I'm considering.
Are you? Yes or no, bro? Are you relegating their influence based on these numbers?
No. So now let me finish. Okay, is that okay? So the Klan influence in this country wasn't as great as Marcus Garvey thought, but we can believe that from an outsider coming in. An outsider coming in. Now let's listen, chat. Now he gave you his opinion. That's away from research. So I'm gonna give you my opinion. That's coupled with research. So Garvey understood about the early, because it's the reason why he chose Liberia out of the 54 countries in Africa. He chose Liberia. So for me, that is, he probably had some history with the ACS in our early interactions with Liberia, right? So he understood that it took white supremacists, when his idea was first pitched, it took white supremacists to make this a reality, right? So the ACS were responsible for 12,000 to 15,000 Black Americans to go to resettle in Liberia. I believe Garvey knew about that. So Garvey looked at the Klan as the ACS.
I believe.
He looked at them. Okay. So he looked at the Klan like the ACS. But listen, brother, the ACS were white supremacists like the Klan. But again, the reason to go to Africa was to flee the country. That was not our stance in this country. What we felt this is our country.
Okay. That is very true.
Okay, right? hold on. Wait,
there was a different time frame.
Let me just get some words in, brother. It's okay.
Could not have dreamed of doing what the UNIA was doing in the 1920s.
But the UNIA
so they had a more expansive scope of potential in the 1920s than they did in the 1800s.
Just woosah. So Marcus Garvey. Think about it. I got it. I'm thinking about it. So Marcus Garvey did the unthinkable. Marcus Garvey met with ops. At the time of the ACS, those same people you're talking about, Martin Robinson Delaney, he didn't rock with the ACS. He didn't trust them. He didn't want nothing to do with them. He knew they had.
You ain't got to trust people to do business with them, to get an understanding with them,
no, but not only
sit
that,
at the table with them.
He chimed in, right?
Get your feelings out of it.
You got to get your feelings out of it. You keep chiming in. Where's your respect? Okay, so it's not that they didn't trust, only didn't trust them. They knew they were on some BS. They knew why they were doing it was for the wrong reason, and it was going to be a nothing burger. So Marcus Garvey, with this nothing burger, Marcus Garvey did not arrange anything solid with the president of Liberia to resettle in Liberia. Actually, the president said, "Don't come here." Okay.
And why is that?
Because, for one,
American white boy influence.
No, you asked
Firestone Company.
Bro, let me just answer. You asked me and answered the question. What fallacy?
Because you're calling it a nothing burger, but you're not gonna tell the whole story of why.
Well, you won't let me tell a story. You keep cutting in.
You ain't trying to.
Yeah, listen,
go ahead, man.
I'm not even offended. Like, I know I'm that thorough. I'm used to people cutting in. You know, this is normal behavior. When I debated,
because you be fully loaded what you say.
Yeah, when I debated Captain Cesariak and all these guys, matter of fact, Captain, where's the footage? I debated him in the footage, even on his channel. Okay.
Yeah, so, but you don't tell the whole story, man. You lined up with the feds.
I got you.
And the people that was against us during the Jim Crow time.
Us. Garvey wasn't with us. Garvey was not with us.
How you figure?
Okay, because he had a pseudo.
Well, it was millions of us with him. So how was he not with us?
Now, he just said this earlier. He said, just because everybody agree or don't agree, make it right. He just said it earlier. And then he comes back.
I didn't say nothing about right or wrong.
Yeah,
I'm contesting the notion that he was not with us.
Okay. Brother, he was not with us.
I'm not saying because there was a lot of them with us, with him, that is right or wrong.
I got it.
But to say that he was not with us and there was millions of us with him, are you trying to say that Jamaicans aren't us?
In what capacity?
In what capacity?
Yeah.
Man, an ethnocentric international capacity.
No.
How about that one?
No, they're not.
Yeah, I guess you on that foundational Negro stuff. Which is still chasing master ideology and identity for ourselves anyway. But neither here nor there. Moving right along. What you were saying anyway.
So, brother, are you familiar with the West Indies Federation?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did it fail?
Why did the West Indies Federation fail?
Yeah.
Disorganization and financial mismanagement.
Brother, they had no money there, so stop lying. They had no money.
Financial mismanagement and disorganization.
No, money had nothing to do with why he fell. You just lied.
the amount. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the amount of money that you have has nothing to do with financial mismanagement.
I'm saying
that's how people like Amazon, for instance, and Apple were getting much money the first 5 or 6 years of their company.
So now I'm gonna talk over you.
But they built on a solid foundation. So it kept rising.
Hey, brother, how long? First of all, how long did it last before it failed? How long?
Man, bro, you tell me, man. I don't remember the exact number.
Right. So, brother, don't speak on something you don't know about. That's number one.
Stop it, because I don't remember the exact number. I know about financial mismanagement and disorganization.
So whose idea was it to even have the West Indies Federation? Whose idea?
Man, what in the world does this have to do with this KKK stuff that you got on the screen?
Because
you doing your own acrobatics away from your own stuff.
You said, are we the same as Jamaicans in these different ethno ideologies? I said no. So I was giving a case in point. I was saying that they don't even get along with themselves in this collective Pan-Caribbean thing.
Who cares?
That matters, man. If you have a history,
it only matters as much as we allow it to. If we feel a kinship with each other, we can develop that regardless of those who don't feel the same way. People be too focused on people who don't feel the same way instead of focusing on the few who do feel the same way and just build with them.
I got it.
How can you question the bonds of affection between brothers and sisters of different national origins? Like, how can you do that? What, because you don't have those, so you don't feel that way, then everyone else should feel that the way that you do?
You are insecure, my boy.
Insecure?
Yes, you are.
I'm arrogantly confident.
You did 8. No, you're not.
I may have too much self-esteem.
Brother, that's a lie. I've been exposing that all day today. You're not confident in your research. You know nothing about the West Indies Federation. You don't even know who spawned that idea.
About the West Indies Federation.
Okay, who idea was it? It's a simple question. Who idea
hear that, right? This is, again, another ad ignoration. He wants to challenge me with open-ended questions.
No,
to
I'm
try to establish some type of notion of knowing more. Instead of getting back to his point, ladies and gentlemen, just because he has no point at this point,
he's trying to buy time.
He's fumbling and looking for something else to stand on.
All right. So he kept talking about master, my boy. Learn, my son. The West Indies Federation idea was the British. It was the yes. You my son all day. You been my son. Yeah. So now that was the British. So it took the British to get these West Indian people to come together under one umbrella, and it failed. It flopped because they couldn't get along. They had ego problems. Oh no. I'm going to keep going.
That's a human thing. The only thing
not a human thing.
That's the West large Indian groups of different people is a common enemy.
So anyway,
that's a human thing.
The reason why I could talk about this, because how do they have Pan-Africanist ideas when they've dropped the ball on Pan-Caribbean ideas? It lasted 4 years, my boy. 4 years.
So
they put really no sweat and time in it at all. 4 years.
Another apple and orange type of context. No, it's not.
Though, so chat. I'm pointing out how can you build something with a people who will flee from an idea in 4 years?
How can you build something with people that are free from an idea in 3 years?
Look what happened.
Let me ask you something, wait. Because again, you're running around with a bogus narrative again, adding your little sauce to it.
Let me cook.
Did everybody who was involved abandon the ideology in 4 years? Yes or no?
Now, let me
yes or no, please.
I don't want to mute you. Come on, bro. You're being rude now.
Did everybody, because you just said like everybody just quit in 3 or 4 years, bro, and that's a lie.
Okay, brother. Let me.
Things can be broken down and disbanded, but that don't mean everybody quit.
But let me expound what happened, because the Trinidadian president had a famous quote for that. What happened? So the Trinidadian president, I'm gonna misquote him. I got the research. I replayed it here. I'm gonna misquote him. But basically, he was saying, when one leaves, it's over. There is no federation. So his quote, I misquoted him. I'm paraphrasing, but it's close as hell. He was saying, for Jamaica to be that size and bring that much influence and whatever else they brought, he was saying, for them to leave, this is over. Okay, so that's how big and influential Jamaica was to this West Indies Federation. If they leave, it's over. So he's saying they left, I'm leaving, because everything else is just, it can't happen. It can't. They were the glue, basically.
Okay.
So, okay, wait. So I answered your question. Now let me add this. So the reason why it failed, one of the major reasons why, is because they were supposed to have this West Indies national name above their personal national country names. Like, for example, West Indian over Jamaica, West Indian over Trinidadian, Bahamian, whoever else. It's documented that Jamaica's president, he could not do that. He was about Jamaica first and everything else below. Okay, so he never bought into this. Also, they failed to establish a federal government because they were never really in it for the reasons why they were supposed to be in it. And by the way, my boy, this was the British idea. So they didn't come up, they didn't have this Pan-Caribbean idea amongst themselves. It took the British to say, hey, why don't you guys form this West Indies Federation and then get your independence that way? Because nobody had independence at this time. So he's saying, why don't y'all form some massive brick type thing and get your independence that way? But now you have this massive force where you could do something amongst yourselves.
Okay.
4 years and it fled. But wait. So let me add more context. So 4 years and it fled. Then Jamaica established independence in 1962. And then guess what? A couple years later, they're everywhere else. There's more Jamaicans in America than it is Jamaica. So they never really ever had independence. Like, they never took advantage of the independence. Everybody else I could think of, when they established independence, they stayed in their homeland and tried to build it up. These guys fought for independence, and what they said, hey, we're going to leave this West Indies Federation. We're going to cripple it by leaving because we want independence, and then never became independent because they left. That's why a lot of Jamaicans don't look at Jamaica as an independent country now. They don't take it serious.
The rise and fall of the West Indies Federation is not in any way, shape, or form a barometer or renders every attempt to unify obsolete because it didn't work. And for everybody who heard everything that you said, it all boiled back down to disorganization and financial mismanagement. They had their bag together, correlate, even when they didn't have a big bag yet.
They had no bag.
Creating an economic infrastructure, socio-economic infrastructure that was sustainable with more organized efforts, right? Everything he's saying falls under the umbrella of them not doing it.
Brother, it was a nothing burger. So I'm not going to unite with people who cannot unite amongst themselves and give up within 4 years. Don't even try.
So you're telling me that because of what they did back then, many decades ago.
And what Marcus Garvey did.
What they did back then. No, let's keep talking about who you was just talking about the last 10, 15 minutes. So you mean to tell me what they did several decades ago is why in this day and age, even though all them dead, in this day and age, people of that same ethnicity and descent, there can be no camaraderie or confraternity between ones, right? That's what you're alluding to?
What I'm speaking on directly is this Pan-Caribbean African idea.
No.
It's garbage.
Don't conflate the two then, because that's another apple and orange.
You have to start.
That's another apple and orange. Pan-Africanism is not predicated on the rise and fall of the West Indies Federation.
Brother,
this is another composition division fallacy.
This is another guy. All right.
The West Indies demonstration.
Right. So he's making no choice.
Account for the whole.
I'm trying my best, chat, not to beat him. Let's have a civil conversation. But he claims he's so confident, which we know he's not. We know he's insecure.
You're making what happened in the Caribbean be a barometer for Pan-Africanism worldwide. Well, that is a composition division fallacy, brother.
Yeah, okay. The way I look at it, call it what you want to call it. The way I look at it, you have to first start at home. Before you can stretch your hand and save people across the seas and everywhere else, you got to, like I said earlier, the proof of concept, a working model. That's important to have established. So now had they built this, had they were successful with this Pan-Caribbean West Indian Federation thing, that is a big statement. Now they could come to Black America, they could come to Africa and say, hey, what's going on? Like, yo, get with it. But if you try something amongst yourselves, you have so much in common and it flops. And then you come to America, Marcus Garvey, people who you don't even know like that. Now you're familiar with your own, but you come over here and try to get us on board with something, and a foreign idea. The idea for us, the collective idea was to stay in this country, have fight for civil rights, okay, be protected by government, fight against systemic racism. That was our fight over here. Labor, and a lot of us was against immigration, by the way, even West Indian immigration. A. Philip Randolph was a huge immigration restrictionist. Okay, so anyway, that was our talking points over here. That was Booker T. Washington. That was all of our leaders was over here talking that education, labor force, rights, equal rights, protection, systemic racism, those barriers got to go. That's it. The large argument was not fleeing. So that's why when Marcus Garvey came over here, he came over here during or a little after Red Summer, where there was like a large bunch of lynchings and people coming home from the war. I think World War I, I think it was, and they had to face this racism. So he came over here at the right time with this old, hey, well, let's leave America. And then the brother just said,
that's bullshit, man. He didn't come over here talking about let's leave America.
Okay, brother.
Stop saying that and get your studies up.
He met with the Klan to do what? You just agreed that he seen the Klan.
You said come over here. When did he come over here and when did he meet with the Klan?
Brother, he met with the Klan, I think around it might be around 1919.
No. Hell no. He met with the Klan in the later 1920s.
So
mid to later, you could say.
Yeah. So a year later, okay, I'm just freestyle. All right.
When he came over here, he went to Booker T. Why? He went to Tuskegee first.
To do
he
what?
Was in correspondence with Booker T. for
Booker
a very long time. He was invited to come through.
Yeah.
But by the time he came, Booker T. had passed away.
Yeah, but Booker T. ain't had these.
So he went to Harlem to go see W.B. Du Bois. Do you know anything about what I'm saying right now?
Yes. And A. Philip Randolph, because they were all in cahoots with at one point, right?
And trying to click up with them all.
Right. But when they heard these weird Pan-Africanist sell stocks, get this large funding that we were not doing, man. We were making our own money. Nobody was sitting there like Daddy Grace talking about, hey, give me your money and I can make this dream come happen. So
that's a lie too. He never said that it was all about self-determination, self-sufficiency, promoting entrepreneurship and ownership.
Marcus Garvey, but he didn't do that.
Give me the money. Tell the people about the supermarket that was
that he bought with the brother. He bought the Watch this. He called me. Watch this.
That was a good investment with the money,
brother.
What are you talking about? He used the money to buy a supermarket, employed a bunch of people. That's good.
Chat. Relax. I got it. Let me respond. Chat. He's telling the investors they're investing in ships. He's buying supermarkets with the money instead. Now watch this. This is why when the ships got in trouble, the supermarkets went down with Fraser. It was all tied to this authoritarian. When things are separate,
that's a lie.
Yeah, with the way business is ran, my boy, when you fall, business still up. It fell with him because none of these guys had a good business model. And that's why he should link up with A.J. Gaston out there in Alabama. A.J. Gaston was out there teaching people, the Black Titanic. He was out at the same time, he was teaching people how to do business correctly. And this was some of the criticism W. Du Bois, A. Philip Randolph had with Garvey. He was doing dirty business practice like advertising, stocking and shit that he didn't currently own.
Yes, I'm talking about, this is the thing. This is the only difference between us, it seems like. Yeah, you have way more trust in the integrity of the criminal justice system and Jim Crow times, way more than I do. Which is why you're doing an appeal to legality. Like you read it and
you're doing an appeal to black
in denial with your own preferred fallacy.
Sure. Okay, brother. You think you did good today?
I know you think I didn't.
I'm asking you though. How you think you did today? You think you did good?
I think it was easy.
Really?
I think it was easy. To be honest,
look, I put the link in the chat. You know, you have free access to the video. You can chop it up, screw it, rub it down. Oh no, I don't think you did good at all. I think you did a lot of lying. You were caught out there. You claimed to know about things you had no idea about, like the West Indian Federation. You didn't know much about the early Pan-Africanists. And if you did, you were withholding information. You didn't know A. Philip Randolph was embarrassing because Garvey, that was his main op.
Man, I didn't remember his name. I said other names. I don't remember off the top of my head. I ain't Googled nothing. This is all off the top of my head.
His name was bigger and still is bigger than W. Du Bois.
So what?
So to him to not know A. Philip Randolph, he was involved in so much shit.
Here you go,
and he got so much stuff done.
No, that's a lie.
But you not to know his name is a lie.
It's a difference between forgetting and not knowing.
All these Pan-Africanists, they don't say.
A. Philip Randolph.
Yo, listen. This is you don't, brother. You don't know this. I told my captain in advance. I told him in advance. I said, listen. All of them are afraid to say A. Philip Randolph. I said they try to erase it from history because he exposed the charlatan, and he called Garvey a charlatan in his face at the time he was living. Okay, they wrote articles in the papers.
With the feds.
Well, yeah, that's what we do.
Riding with the feds.
I got it. If there's a trap house in the neighborhood, brother, people like me don't do the criminal shit. All right. Yes, we snitch. Yeah, this is Snitch Nation. We want you criminals out the goddamn hood. All right, you ain't gonna set up. Yes, you ain't gonna set up no trap house selling drugs to be big meat. We're gonna run your little criminal ass out the damn.
Like freaking grass.
Yeah, we're gonna run your criminal ass out of the neighborhood like we did Garvey. And the rest of y'all that come over.
You a lie. You couldn't even tie his shoes, man.
Yeah, who shoes?
You would have been one of them to the side, too scared to stand up for us and try to do something different.
Okay, how about this truth? Did Marcus Garvey read his own obituary?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
But he's a UNIA guy.
Yes, I am. I definitely showed.
Did Marcus Garvey? Yo, you don't know his, okay, watch this. So you don't know how his chapter ended?
I don't know that either, bro.
What the?
Keep on, yeah. Now here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. He's trying to play this Q&A game.
He's not on my level,
which is really a Freudian slip. He wouldn't be trying to overcompensate and play the what do I know game. If you really think that he did his thing today, if you really thought that, he wouldn't be trying to overcompensate, y'all.
I'm gonna be quiet because you're not on my level of all research. You didn't even know how his chapter ended, bro. God damn.
Hey, but remember, ladies and gentlemen, he admitted that the actual person that was selling the ship was unscrupulous. He admitted that. He was there have been several things that I've said that he's admitted to be true that I'm saying off the top of my head that he left out. And now he wants to double back and act like I was just ignorant throughout this conversation. It's a Freudian slip. We know what you're doing. We know you're trying to overcompensate because it didn't go how you intended, but hey, we can do a part 2. We can do some more to this because you need to do more research anyway,
brother. God.
But yeah, that was disingenuous of you to try to sweep under the rug the BS factors involved. That ones actually tricked the man into thinking that he owned it. And that being the only thing that stood up in court. Well, he did claim that he owned it, even though he signed these papers that dude gave him and signed as well that didn't give him ownership. He won't talk about that.
You go ahead.
So again, just appealing to legality.
No, go ahead, brother. Explain.
He used to stay off my freaking grass. What was his name on Friday? Stay off my freaking grass. He's standing up for those brothers and sisters. I love them too. That ain't cooning and buffooning at least. Because we all puzzle pieces. Again, it take the house and the field to take over the plantation. Instead of playing what's greater than, lesser than, inferiority, superiority complexes, we better off stronger and unified and organized in a way where we offset each other's weaknesses by all fitting into the lanes that we naturally good at and doing it for some collective purpose that's greater than how we feel in the moment. If we not doing that, we ain't doing nothing no way. What we need to be doing is taking the best from our brothers and sisters that came before us, learning from their trials and their failures, realizing what not to do and building on the good things to do and doing it our own way. That would be a better alternative than sitting up here running around trying to throw dirt in fallacious ways, Texas sharpshooting his behind off. For what? Still ain't getting up to them 11 aims and objects, though. At all. Just circling wagons on some we're doing it better than you and it's smarter than you and this and that. Ha, ha, ha. Ain't none of that stuff got us nowhere either. Matter of fact, in the 1960s, we had more wealth and more home ownership, dollar for dollar. It's crazy. In reference to dollar value, that is, the dollar has dropped significantly since then. But if you look at the value of the dollar then, and how many of them we had, and the value of the dollar now, it's like, what in the world we've been doing the last 60 years? And everybody plays a part in that lethargic BS that most of us have been able to do. And admittance is the first step, not only in AA and NA, but in Life Anonymous. We have to be able to see that in order to pull the antidote out of the venom. But we can't do that with superiority, inferiority complexes and goofy king of the hill games.
So you believe meeting with the Klan was a good idea?
Texas, this man had five shots, and this is one of them. Meeting with the Klan. I said what I said about meeting with the Klan.
Okay.
I can sit down with ops, man. I done sat down with ops before in many different situations.
Yeah, but what came out of it?
And driving or trying to capitulate.
No shucking and driving. Okay, so did he write it? So the letter he wrote,
it's levels to power moves and influence. Where you go sit down with people you don't trust and don't like.
The letter he wrote to the Klan. Hold on. Stop. The letter he wrote to the Klan, was he praising their white supremacist practices?
Man, come on, man. You tell me, bro. You tell me.
Yes.
Okay, show it. Show him praising.
Okay, got it.
That's what you want to do anyway, right? Show him praising.
Yes, that's bad. If you're going to meet with your ops, don't praise them if they're wrong.
I'm saying, you praising J. Edgar Hoover now. Somebody did a good job.
He did an excellent job. Yeah,
so what's the difference between praising whoever you're talking about and praising J. Edgar Hoover?
All right, okay.
What's the difference?
I'm going to tell you. Garvey, he praised the Klan.
J. Edgar Hoover.
So he asked the question and talks right over me as I go to answer. This is what he's been doing all day. But he's secure though, right? He's secure. He's bold in his information and research.
Man, go ahead, man.
He's not my level at all on this. Anyway, so he praised the Klan for being like, he basically said, yeah, like what you do with white supremacy has been good. Like he pretty much praised them. He didn't condemn their past actions with us blacks over here. He praised them, and then
praised them for what? For sticking together.
Prejudice. Yeah, and their prejudice against us. And they're prejudice
for doing a whole lot of stuff that we should have been doing our damn selves for ourselves. By ourselves.
There's no need for us.
Like I said, separatist nationalists have a lot in common.
He asked a question and chime right in.
Chinese nationalists, Japanese nationalists, Russian nationalists, they all gonna have some things in common.
One thing we're not gonna do is praise an organization whose sole purpose to come together was to not have this white extremist nationalist idea, but their sole purpose was to undermine and lock us out of wealth for 100 years, putting us in the condition we're in right now.
What did COINTELPRO do under J. Edgar Hoover? Did it not do the same thing?
No. What they did was they locked up Garvey's scamming ads that you agreed to and got his bum ass out the country, deported. He went back to Jamaica. So he fell to Jamaica originally. He came to America and failed. He went back to Jamaica and failed, and then went to London and failed.
Stop. That's a lie.
So where was he successful at?
He still had the biggest. His organization was more organized and put in more work than any organization now.
No. A. Philip Randolph organization did way more. Were way more.
Than the UNIA?
Yes.
Man, you crazy, man. You crazy. You can't find an African anti-colonial revolution in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that didn't have children and grandchildren of Garveyites.
Hey, brother, I just compared Garvey. Listen what I just did.
Man, Garveyism influenced the world, man.
Wait, hold on. Slow down. Before you disagree, because you might agree. Okay. So I just compare A. Philip Randolph's accomplishments, achievements, and influences to Marcus Garvey. And I say he was more decorated, he was more accomplished, he was way more influential than Marcus Garvey. And you're saying I'm wrong?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Because A. Philip Randolph, again, the whole Pan-African movement that W.B. Du Bois and others ended up formulating in the latter years of W.B. Du Bois' life,
right,
was, I'm saying this with all due respect,
a
regurgitated message of the same Garveyism that he was going against all them years.
So what
he realized that you can't just go along to get along.
So what
and to be a good boy integrationalist, educated integrationalist route wasn't going to be the end all be all either.
I got it. So
none of these angles are end all be alls. So we got to hit all angles at the same time.
Did
you at least agree with that?
Okay. No. Well, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna counter you because I made a comparison. A. Philip Randolph was he's called the father of the civil rights movement. Right? He spearheaded that. He influenced Dr. King and everybody coming afterwards. He actually spoke at the Washington. So he is in the thing we did with the train. So this and the labor rights working with the Italians. Marcus Garvey can't tie his shoe. Marcus Garvey.
No, it's the other way around.
He failed.
Philip Randolph. First and foremost, let's go down this list of what you're talking about.
Okay, he died of failure.
Because in the first place, you want to talk about failures? All he's doing, ladies and gentlemen, is speaking on the burning house that Martin Luther King feared that he led us back into. A burning house. Because what he's talking about, again, them same civil rights things you're talking about.
You're not aware of
the same groups now
I see that
reap more benefits from DEI are the same groups then that reap more benefits from our protests and demonstrations.
You're not well
and get hit upside the head with bricks. White women, Latinos, gay people.
Right. So he's just going to talk, right?
Asians.
Now, that was added. Well, first of all, that was added in afterwards.
They got way more out of civil rights, affirmative action,
okay,
DEI,
that wasn't
all of that.
Okay, he just talks. Hey, brother, what were the two main talking points that the civil rights?
That's why I say Lyndon B. Johnson. So, I mean, you talking about his influence on the desegregation act?
Brother, listen, what were the two main points of the civil rights movement? The two arguments, two main points.
Two main points of the civil rights movement?
Yeah.
To me, civil rights movement was like a modern day, an old school BLM swagger jack.
That was okay, cool.
To take like the deacons of defense and nationalism.
Wait. Okay. Wait.
Stop. Build their stuff up. It came with this nonviolent.
Okay, brother. You said he's just talking.
Dude, I ain't just talking. This actually happened. Foreign money. They put money in the nonviolent.
Okay.
Go along to get along. To overshadow the ones fighting the fight in the trenches against Jim Crow.
Brother. You said Deacons of Defense. What name stands out?
What name stands out in the Deacons of Defense?
Right.
So we gonna play multiple choice.
No, brother, you're naming stuff.
I can name three off the top of my head from the Deacons of Defense, but that wasn't even the purpose of me bringing them up.
Hey, brother, just get.
I said what they represented.
No, what I'm saying is
boots
you
on
don't
the ground,
know.
not the nonviolent.
Brother,
the ones that were more defensive and counter defensive.
Civil rights activists. That's my point. They were civil, which you're disrespecting.
Man, they weren't just battling for civil rights, bro. They was battling for not only equality, but also the ability to become more empowered, be able to defend themselves. It wasn't just about being treated the same way as other people.
Yeah, here's why.
It was about us.
It was never about. It was never about that. That's a straw man. So this guy with the fallacy.
That ain't no damn straw man. Is you crazy?
The guy with the fallacy.
You think it's all about other people. And
you never gave me the two main talking points.
Few of us that see it as being all about
you never gave me the main two talking points. That was the civil rights march.
I ain't even drawn with it because you turning the civil rights into the whole movement. Like them people
we
did.
made a comparison.
Like I say, you do a lot of stuff like them people did, which is alarming.
Okay. All right, brother.
Listen. But it was a larger movement for empowerment that wasn't just about civil rights and eating at the same tables as the motherfuckers.
I'm proved. That was not what that was about.
It wasn't just about other people treating us better.
Brother, I'm proving something.
It was about us treating us better and being able to defend ourselves against others not treating us better.
Hey, brother,
first and foremost.
Here you go. He just keep ranting. What I'm saying,
it had to be with self-determination. This ain't no rant. This is what they were really doing. If you disagree, then you don't really know this stuff like you claim to.
I'm asking you for names. You don't know any names. You the one that don't know the shit.
I know a bunch of names. I'm not going to play that game with you, though.
So give me one with the deacons.
I'm not going to play that game with you. Pick a name.
Look, you can Google.
Again, it's people who going to watch this. If people actually know the history that we talking about.
And you still won't know more than me. You can Google right now the names.
See,
and you still
ladies and gentlemen, he's focused on trying to seem like he knows more.
You talk about stuff you don't know.
I don't care about what you know more or know less of until you start sounding stupid.
Then? I only believe in thorough research. I don't believe in half-partial.
Man, okay, so if you disagree with anything that I said that wasn't my opinion, then you don't know this stuff as good as you say you do.
Well, we don't know because I can never talk. You keep cutting in.
Come on, man. This guy.
So what I'm saying, what you do, you got all these fallacies for me. That's your opinion. What I'm saying, what you do is you just say generic stuff, but you don't know about them.
Oh,
you
really?
Just say stuff. Yes, you said the deacons for defense.
Because I'm using generic.
I chimed in right away.
Verbiage does not mean that I don't know anything about it. The reason why I can use generic verbiage is because I know stuff about it.
Here you go. Okay, so the deacons for defense.
I use generic verbiage talking about the same ship that you were talking about.
Hold on, slow down. The deacons for defense. What organization were they lined up with?
The public mainstream civil rights movement overshadowed the real boots on the ground movement that was going on. For instance, like people like the deacons of defense. That's how we got here with this little game you trying to play.
Well, okay, what were they defending, by the way, brother? How about that?
Men, women, and children, man. Started over a gang rape incident.
Huh?
Men, women, and children. Mainly the women and children. Started over a gang rape incident.
How about this? What feats did they accomplish? Let's do more tangible.
Man, this guy right here, man.
Yo, I'm really shocked. Man. I'm really shocked that you're a glazer of Marcus Garvey, but you don't know how
glazer of nobody, man. Knock it the fuck off. Everything I said was based off what he actually did.
Hey, brother, you don't even know how his chapter
You a glazer of J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, I'm glad he deported Marcus Garvey as nigga. I give him a chest bump.
My freaking grass. I wish I know the name of that guy on Friday.
Brother, I will give J. Edgar Hoover a chest bump for getting rid of that goddamn.
Yeah, you definitely will. You that type of dude.
Yes.
You that type of dude. And that's your right to be that type of dude.
Yes, I am that type of dude. Upstanding and American. You dig? Proud to be American.
I'm American.
No,
I'm American.
I'm
true. I'm American to the fullest.
Nah, you something else.
I'm not sitting up here saluting J. Edgar Hoover, appealing to legality.
I salute great police work.
With the bougie, talented, tough house nigga standpoint of what was going on in the 1920s.
So now I just told this guy that W. Du Bois got that from the earlier Pan-Africanists, Paul Cuff, Alexander Carmel. And they believe in the elitist status should go to elitist group should go to Liberia to set things in order. So yes, that's where he got it from. He was inspired by them.
That has nothing to do with what I just said, though, bro.
You just said a whole bunch of nothing burgers.
That has nothing to do with what I said, though, at all.
And why'd you lump me up with some foundational thing? Well, why you do that?
You keep on trying to hopscotch to some type of gotcha moment.
No.
You're not having it.
I said, why did you lump me up with a foundational group?
What foundational group did I lump you up with?
You don't remember earlier you said you must be one of those foundational group buddy boys, whatever you call them.
FBA, Foundational Black Americans?
Yeah. Why'd you do that?
Because of your sentiment in reference to the Jamaicans and other Caribbean people, Afro-Caribbean people, is why I said that.
Okay, so connect the dots. How does that connect?
What do you mean how they connect? The standpoint, the vantage point of they not like us is the correlation that I saw immediately. If you don't understand the words coming out of my mouth, there's no way that I can make this more simplistic.
Okay, so can I respond to that?
I'm listening.
Okay. Professor Kevin Brown, you familiar with him? No, right? Okay, so back in early 2000, before there's an FBA, before there's an ADOS in Cobra, he was talking about how they are not like us. Deborah Dickerson, back when Obama was running for hold on. Because you
still have that in common with the FBA people, even if there are other people that predate the FBA and you still have that in common.
Yeah, but you're not telling me how. Okay, for one thing, brother, you got to tell me.
That's the correlation, brother.
Okay, so what is your okay? Let's say if you were somehow able to connect those dots. My next question is, what is they must be bad if you're doing that. Okay, so what did they say that was wrong? What did they say that was wrong?
No, I'm not saying nothing is wrong. That's your defense mechanisms kicking in. You highlighted me, categorized.
So was it a good thing?
I did not put a negative connotation. I just made a remark because it gave me more insight into your understanding and the way that you're looking at things.
I got
your vantage point.
I got it. And I got some insight on you. So let me ask this question. I know some of those talking points. So do you think it's wrong for Black Americans to acknowledge their ethnogenesis? Yes or no?
Who are Black Americans and what are their ethnogenesis? Okay,
so Black Americans are people in America who can trace their lineage back to slavery. Okay, that's who's called as Black Americans. They're also called African Americans, and they were.
Why trace your lineage back to slavery?
That's where.
Your name Toby, boy. I ain't with that Toby crap, but I know we talking about the same people.
Well, let me ask you. Right? Can you trace your lineage back to slavery in America?
Man, I trace my lineage back to the originators of mankind.
Okay.
Before, during, and after slavery.
All right. So what do you call yourself? How you identify yourself today?
I am a Moorish American.
Okay.
I am a Moorish American.
Now, hold on. Now, which type of Moor? Do you believe in the whole sovereign citizen thing?
No, I don't.
You're not driving, you're traveling type shit?
Not at all. I mean, I can. I have degrees of sovereignty. I'm a part of the Moorish Americans that are within the government and the Constitution. They're constitutionally qualified to be a First Amendment citizen. Not no 13th, 14th, 15th, none of that.
So do you believe you're not driving, you're traveling?
I believe I can drive and travel. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. When you're driving, you're traveling.
I'm not with. I have an ID, driver's license, and all that. I'm also clergy. Yeah, I also have sovereign levels and degrees. I have a private American status and a public American status. You get what I'm saying? Within the government, not outside the government. None of that goofy stuff. I am an American citizen and a member, being an American national. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Public citizen, private national.
I only asked because I didn't want to do what you did to me. Group you in with a group of people.
That's why I had to give so many details, because it's murky out there in reference to this subject matter.
Okay,
I get it.
So here we go. So do you align your ideology with Taharka Bey?
With who?
Taharka Bey.
Taharka Bey? Yeah. Shout out to their sheep. And shout out to everybody else who's holding the Emilio torch out here. For those who know, you know. But if you're trying to do another composition, division, fallacy, everything in reference to Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America that I've been,
what type of Moor
yes, I do agree with him on. And I ain't coming against no Moors that's actually sticking up with them principles. Now, does that mean that we agree on each and everything? No. So I don't know what it is that you're trying to highlight and pinpoint. But in no way, shape, or form is one's obligated to agree with everything. It's not a social club anyway.
Okay, now Jamaicans, are they also Moors?
They are Moorish. They are Asiatic.
What about people from, like, let's say Sierra Leone? Are they Moorish?
Sierra Leone depends on the people. So, and again, it depends on where you're going with it. So, first off, I'm going with the Drew. You get what I'm saying? So, Moorish Americans are the descendants of the inhabitants of the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, where the majority of our stock comes from. If we look at that area or region, there's been miscegenation from Eastern, Central, and Western Africans along that coast before and after Carthaginian colonies up and down the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa as well. For instance, the Fula Hausa and others that came from over there miscegenated with ones on the northwestern and southwestern shores. That encompasses the same demographic that's been erroneously categorized as Negro ever since the Negro Act. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you, but I don't understand none of that stuff.
Okay. Well, maybe you will when you
Black Americans
when you look at it again. It might hit you the second time like a boomerang. Who knows?
I think foundational Black American is a little more simpler than all that bullshit.
Yeah, it is more simple. It's your name, Toby. It's still sticking with what they turned us into, and trying to use it and have some pride in it because we feel good about it, which only just show how much is tattooed as a social construct in our psychological DNA to identify with ourselves and our ancestry with some your name Toby, chattel slavery, social construct, the Negro, Black, and color. That's some colonial bullshit.
They looked at Marcus Garvey,
some colonial bullshit.
Noble Draw League.
It came from them.
And
then we started calling ourselves that because they were calling us that. And then some more of us were born hearing them and us call us that. So we started calling us that too. And since we feel good about it, even though it's just as much as a vestige of slavery as everything else, it's a vestige of slavery.
So we're not foundational Black Americans. We're just more
chattel slave, social construct, identity, thinking that we only came here by getting beaten, dragged here, all that stuff. It's still a vestige of slavery.
I don't think
that's a part of a pseudo identity that was forced upon us.
The pseudo identity that Moorish is
under duress.
Yeah, you know nothing
it's been forced upon us under duress.
You know nothing
and
about
it's only because we feel good. It's been so normalized. We identify with the titles that they gave us so much that we think that it's wrong to not do away with them, right? We think it's wrong to be like, no.
It is wrong.
It's wrong not to keep them. Keep your Toby name.
It's wrong to say
keep your Toby name.
Your name is Noble Ali. That's wrong. Because he was like Muslim, Christian.
Off of your limited understanding.
He was a whole bunch of shit in one. Muslim, Christian, atheist.
What are you though? No, he wasn't all or nothing in one. He was in submission to the causeless cause and the rootless root. That transcends the divisions that your meager left brain mind are used to.
But that was a nothing burger though. Like
use some right brain. How if it's still people to this day demonstrate?
What, sprinkle doing what?
You don't know from the outside looking in because you're not involved.
Bro,
for instance, I'm going to give you one thing. In Chicago, myself, co-founder of the Entrepreneur Millionaires Roundtable with all type of brothers and sisters of Moorish, Garveyite, atheists, Christian, entrepreneurs working together, doing business together in real life, not talking none of this goofy shit. That's just one example.
That's usually the goofy shit
I'm doing, let alone a whole bunch of other stuff going on in this city and other places that we're at. Getting it cracking in real life, not just trying to win gotcha points.
It smells
and get some clout. some digital view clout.
Bro, it smells scammy.
These people out here really working and demonstrating this shit.
But it smells very scammy.
Others from the rafters eating hot dogs, talking shit.
Brother, it smells very scammy, bro.
Yeah, whatever, dude. How? Really? If we doing good work, you can't say that to entrepreneurs that's getting their own money. And then also putting their money together, working with each other. Ain't nothing scammy about that. You sound crazy.
Yeah, if y'all working with the UNIA, that's known that leader's known for a big scammer.
That's a lie.
I'll pass.
That's a lie. You don't even know what you're talking about. What UNIA current sitting UNIA president do you know of? Do you know of?
Brother, you gotta change that name. You gotta change that name, bro.
Name one. Name a sitting president right now.
Okay.
Where you at again? Where are you?
Okay. Jersey.
In Jersey?
Yeah.
Where in Jersey? By Newark?
Yeah, somewhere over there.
Around there?
Yeah. I'm not far.
It's a UNIA division of some people somewhere close to you, putting in work, been putting in work.
All right, so
you don't have a clue.
Let me ask you.
You don't even know, but you got all this criticism.
Can I ask a question?
You an armchair theorist. Ask whatever you want.
Does the N still stand for Negro?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'll pass.
Hey, man. Ones don't know. They didn't know that they weren't Negro.
You still think you're a Negro in 2025?
I know I ain't no Negro. You talking about.
So how are you siding with an organization?
They didn't know that, though.
Negroes? But they know it now.
Know that.
So why you can't change the name now?
You talking about then or now?
Now. Why it's still called Negro?
I mean,
that's outdated. That's called being outdated.
Change it anyway. You feel me? Unless everybody. This is the thing. If you're familiar with the Declaration of the Rights of the Negro People, you have a thing called freedom of religion for all members. There are two types of members in the UNI. Active and inactive, right? Everyone of quote unquote African descent is an inactive member.
What is that?
Free to come in, engage in everything.
What is African descent? What is that?
If they choose to, so anything that the UNI put on is for people under that umbrella.
No, but how do you determine African descent?
Ethnic descent, right?
Yeah, but how do you determine
that umbrella of ethnic descent? I ain't trying to get tied up in the names, man.
How do you just? Well, I am. And
I know we talking about the same damn people.
Okay. Well, earlier when I said foundation, you said Toby, all type of shit. Now you're not trying to be put.
Yeah, Negro is too. Negro, black, and colored is too.
Negro,
oh, that's some Toby shit.
Right. So don't you believe that?
They're still my people. Do you get what I'm saying? Even though I don't agree with that,
you are all
I'm not allowing that to not do business.
Yeah,
do you know that Noble Ali gave tours to a YMCA Boys and Girls Club in Chicago for Christmas?
What?
Because it was still our people. Do you know the work that was done in Bronzeville with other Christians?
No, I don't know any large work from. I don't know any large work
down King Drive, down 35th, 37th. You don't have a clue.
Big Meats hand out
turkeys. This is history in Chicago.
What does that mean? Big Meats hand out turkeys too.
One's been working together and rocking with each other, and then you had other people who are rather focused on who can get more members and who got the right name and who doing this and that. And they ain't got us nowhere still.
I'm like, well, that's because y'all in the way.
You wouldn't be convinced from your ivory tower anyway.
Hey, bro, y'all
you ain't trying to be unconvinced. Again, you don't even know that it's UNIA people in New Jersey that's been doing work. They ain't just get there.
I ain't seen
and you don't know. Black, and so you can't judge.
All right, let me ask you this.
You can't judge, man.
Let me ask you this. Away from that, do you agree with the modern Black Panthers?
Agree. I mean, I was a part of a few Panther chapters. Shout out to the Black Panther Cubs. Big bro Fred Hampton Jr.
So you join all these pseudo fucking
I write whatever they doing. I salute them. It's been some good and bad people from different. Again,
were you also with the New Wabians?
Engaged in the same thing.
Were you also with the New Wabians?
I mean, I ain't with nobody that get out on some freaky stuff, extra freaky stuff, especially with minors, R. Kelly included. I don't care if you like the song, used to dance to the tunes, any of that. I have a zero tolerance when it comes to this.
I'm with you on that one. That's something.
If you got to have some people sneak in to get a whole ring, though. You feel me? if it ain't to get a whole ring of them that's more powerful, then I believe in capital punishment in reference to whoever it is, right? With that being said, on top of that, I used to bang with the Wapians online, but when I saw them like in person during the years, the last like 16 years or so, they just had different terminology for the same sciences that I also study. And we didn't have beef with who was saying the right name or who we clicking with more. We understood the same stuff and builded on how to build on it. And that's the difference between those who really truth-seeking and those who just trying to get gotcha moments.
So do you have a problem with
like us?
Do you have a problem with Black people and Black organizations that's advocates for reparations exclusively for Black people who were impacted by slavery in this country?
Shout out to Cobra, Big Brother Cam, and a whole lot of others. I don't have a problem with people wanting reparations. First off, I have a problem with the lack of preparation in reference to. I have a problem with people saying, just cut the check, we'll figure other stuff out later. I have a problem with people not engaging in the things like, again, why it's not about a price tag. There's nothing for small contingents of 3, 4, and 5 people to make multi-level LLCs, do some business, just practice getting legal money with each other, with some balanced books, even if it's a couple $100 a month after expenses.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't got the money with each other. A lot of folks don't, you know, Tone got the numbers, man. So a lot of folks ain't got the money to do all the stuff you're talking about. A lot of us.
No, that ain't true, right? Because we can do it with a little bit. It's the same principles. It's only it's two steps to gaining wealth, no matter how much you got.
Yeah,
that's to save more and spend less. If you save more, spend less, keep getting it. It's gonna rise.
Yeah, I could tell that you haven't researched.
You want to.
Yeah, I could tell you haven't researched like the wealth.
What? I'm living it. What you talking about? I've researched, learned it, and I'm practically applying it.
Okay, brother. Listen.
And you not. So judge not.
Okay, brother. So in Cobra, so what do you agree about them? In Cobra,
I agree with what they're trying to do, even though we have differences of opinion of how to do it. Yeah, I agree with. I know that there is repairs due.
For who? For who?
For those of us who suffer epigenetic traumatic stress.
All right, okay.
From being under duress and all types of oppressive conditions over the last centuries.
I'm not disagreeing just yet. Hold on. I'm not disagreeing. Okay, hold on.
Good. What I disagree with.
Oh my God. Still talking. Go ahead. What do you disagree with?
I mean, that's what you want to hear. Okay, well, you go ahead.
No, I don't. I don't care. I don't care what you disagree with. Just the fact that you
agree. Okay, go ahead.
The fact that you agree that, you know, we are due reparative damages, like whether it be financial or the fact. That's all I wanted to hear. I thought she's gonna be one of those guys like, hell no, pull your bootstraps.
I'm both. I'm saying pull them up and give us credit where credit is due, and give us what we do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, listen,
I'm both. Because some people just want to do that and then pull the boots up.
No. Hey, listen, brother. When you know Black history like me, we are the only people in this country who pulled our own bootstraps up.
Until recently.
No, even now.
Until the last 10, 20 years.
Now, explain. Explain.
In these 2000s, we are declining, bro.
Yeah, because we're locked out.
Less self-determination, less everything.
Nah, dude, stop it. All these, all the new Jim Crow, all these stop and frisk, all these tactics, all these tactics, the drug game. I'm
talking about us.
What are you talking? Yo, are you crazy?
Man, do you know how many 8th graders at 3rd and 4th grade math that look like us across the nation? You know how many of them under the poverty line? Yeah. How many of them stuck on the internet and clout and dragging their lives away?
We
got a serious issue.
I got it. So now let's deal with some of it, because now you're at my alley, and I know you're not fucking with me. Okay, so brother, listen. the way to break the black family since slavery, wasn't it always to keep the father away from the home, whether murder or whether force him to convict leasing,
somehow, some way.
Right. It was always to get the father. Okay, so how do you blame a people that grew up without a father in their home? In some cases, people were raised by their grandmothers. So how do you blame? Right, hold on. I'm not finished with how do you blame these people when they are part of an experiment? It is known that if you are born with one, and this on average, if you're born in a household one parent, you are 80% likely to do everything negative. You just said dropout, truancy, drugs. Okay, so now, okay.
How do I blame them, right?
Right, because
this is how I blame them.
This is the last thing, because this is systemic. This is systemic. That means that it's just plug and play. Okay, go ahead, go.
I don't blame them for what they do. I blame them for what we do. Right? A wise man once said, I blame them for setting the traps. I blame us for constantly falling for them.
Wait a minute. How do you fall for a trap when
chronic? Listen, what I'm going to say. I blame us for chronic repeating of mistakes.
Like
not being born with shitty hand, not being born in a ditch like who you say, Frederick Douglass. He said something about not judging a man by the heights he's climbed, but by the depths he's climbed up from, something like that. Right? So yeah, there are people who were put in a deeper hole and have to climb just to get to solid ground. Right? That's very true. My thing is doing what we can with what we got.
That's what we are.
To the best of our ability, so we can pass that torch in a generational way even better. And be able to take more institutional and systemic leverage by, I would call, a segregated core and an integrated outer layer, like a segregated yellow yolk and an integrated white yolk.
So basically a school for black boys.
No, like Chinatown. Like Greek town, like any other town, they have
Black Wall Street,
segregated. They have a segregated network. They have segregated networks and communities.
Like Black Wall Street. I'm giving you an example.
Yes.
Like Black Wall Street. Okay, so don't mention a damn Chinese man. Mention us.
Yes, sir.
Say like black. Okay, don't. Our example is not a Chinese man. We were doing it long before them in this country. All right, we are the example. Okay,
but I like using it.
Yeah, but
because I like what they're doing, even though I ain't doing it. You get what I'm saying?
You can use. We did it better. You can use us as the example.
I mean, don't have low self-esteem, bro. Like you can give credit where credit is due without feeling like you bowing down or bowing your head or glazing or anything else. People did something good, they did it good.
But a lot of these black nationalist clowns, what they do is they use the white man for the example. When
this ain't idol worship. You can't. What it say? Give reverence, but worship not.
Everything about these guys.
Admire, but worship not.
Dude, you just killed yourself, man.
How so?
The best example for what you saying we need to do is us. We accomplish more together as a collective than any Chinese man.
Whatever example you want to use, brother, I don't care. Why would you not use the best? As long as we do it.
All right, so let me explain why. We gotta use us, because when you say a Jew, the Jews, we don't see ourselves like the Jews. We went through different experiences, and as a matter of fact, a lot of these Chinese folks you talking about over here, do you know about hyper-selection, hyper-selectivity?
They're still a great example of sticking together, man.
No, hold on.
The Jews are a great example of sticking together.
Hold on, wait. This is an example. Hold on, just relax. It's just yes and no. Are you familiar with the term hyper-selectivity?
No. Enlighten me, brother.
Then shut up.
See, I actually do. I just want to hear what you're going to say.
No, you don't.
But since you said shut up, let's talk about it.
Explain. Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
No, don't say what it is.
So you said no, shut up. You don't keep talking.
Yeah, go ahead and say what it is.
So chat. This is why I'm saying.
Test, flunk a test. Say what it is. But I promise you, without me Googling or nothing, if you don't say what it actually is, I'm going to bust your head with what it actually is.
Sure. I've been cooking you all day, bro. You don't know shit.
You better say what it actually is, bro. I'm going to expose you again.
Okay, so you got to be quiet. Yeah, you haven't exposed me
I'm
one
listening,
time.
bro.
You're not my level on
I'm listening.
research. Okay, so hyperselectivity. This is what Tone talks about, jackass. All right, this is what I talk about, jackass. So it's about selecting the elitists of that, let's say, country. So when Chinese folks come over here, they're not, it's something called brain drain, brain gain, brain waste, which I talk about a lot. So that's why
you're doing good. You were doing good. Stay focused.
Relax. You're not fucking with me at all on this topic. Okay, so
whatever. You better keep it. You better keep it valid, or I'm gonna show you you ain't. But for right now, you being valid.
Yeah, sure. Of course. I do thorough research, bro. I'm not like y'all. I'm different.
I just want to hear. Actually. If you're right, you're right. If
I'm Hendrix. Okay, so be quiet. So you can. So this is why people like tethers or white supremacists, what they try to do is, especially the extreme conservatives, what they try to do is they try to compare Black Americans to an elitist immigrant group class in this country who have not been through, and they are highly educated and a lot of them wealthy coming into the country. So the brain game, brother, the brain game is that our government don't spend any money funding their education. We let their country spend the money to get these guys educated, and we use them as they come. It's plug and play. Okay, that's not our history. We're not plug and play. We actually had to earn it through extreme oppression, extreme racism, systemic racism. That's why I say we are the best example. Wait. Now these small.
Can I respond to that?
Wait. I'm not. Wait. Relax. These H-1B1 visas guys, these elites, these small elitist group, they don't represent their country. Their country is dumb as fuck. China are highly illiterate and uneducated, right? And unemployed, underemployed. So these elites come over here that you're trying to use for example for us. They don't represent their populace.
Example for us.
Yeah, you did that. You said
okay. What example did I make? Having a what?
Don't
ethnocentric.
No, but don't make no example
socio-economic foundation.
They are a highly selected group that is the elitist class of themselves. Kind of like what W. Du Bois trying to do with the Talent Intent, or what Paul Cuff was trying to do back in the early.
Do you believe that we can do it too?
We already did it.
I ain't talking about did. I'm talking about do. Do you get present tense versus past? So you stuck in the past. Present tense. Do you believe that we can do it? Like Chinatown, Greek town, and whatever other town. We
can't do it today because of guys like yourself. You're in the way.
So we can't. You think we can't. I think we can.
No, I'm
going to set the seeds.
As long as we believe
so that those younger than me have a better chance of carrying the torch. I'm optimistic. You pessimistic.
No, I'm pessimistic with reality. As long as we believe in wars and UNIA people,
we can plant the seeds.
It's a bad
seed. The ones younger than us.
That thing will fall on stony grounds and it'll be scorched up by the sun.
Yeah, okay. So why you act like stony ground the only ground we can plant in though? Again, that's your pessimism. That's your scope of us.
Then the birds gonna come eat it. If it's gonna fertile soil.
That's your scope of us.
The birds and lizards gonna eat it. Okay.
That's why I don't allow what the majority of us do and what the majority of what I see dictate what's possible and plausible for me. And since I want for you what I want for myself, I see us all as having the potential to exceed expectations. That's the only way to make it possible, let alone plausible. Because it all still boils back down to what we actually do.
You say that.
Not just say.
You say that, but your rhetoric say something else. So as I was explaining, chat, he's gonna interrupt. Like I said, he's not. Most people can. It's not your fault. Most folks, when it comes to research and information in this country, you can't tie my shoes. So what I was saying,
you ain't even saying much.
Cause you keep cutting in.
Man, listen, my son. Say what you want to say, man.
Okay, listen, my
Please.
son. Okay.
Yo, son.
Yes.
Man, you weak sauce, man. You just know a little bit more than most people.
Brother, you're my son.
But that's where it stops.
Okay, so now you can't ever compare us, the whole body of a populace, the whole people. We got the good, the bad, the ugly. You can never compare a populace to a small elitist group and use that small elitist group as our example for anything.
I never compared them to us. That's your erroneous notion that everybody listening should be able to see.
Why did you mention them?
What I used was a second example of what I call an integrated core. I mean, a segregated core
don't even use
and an integrated outer layer. My first example was yellow yolk and white yolk. And then I used Chinatown is my second example. That was not comparing them to us.
Don't even use
that was making an example of a socio-economic and political infrastructure that we can also create.
No. Don't even do that. Because
just admit that all this diatribe you went on about it being a comparison was null and void, straw man fallacy, because I never compared them to us anyway. Dude, I compared them to having a segregated core and an integrated outer layer.
So chat, the good thing about this is recorded, and I can actually play it.
Yes, I'm glad it is. Okay. And when you rewind to see it, just be honest.
I got it. So what I said was this. I had a good memory. So what I said was this. I said, bro, why are you using Chinese people as an example? We are the best example. You said, well, it's not about the color. So you were acknowledging that you were.
I didn't bring up color at all.
Do you recall me saying, why are you using Chinese people as an example for us to do something great? We are our best example. Do you recall me saying that?
I said, no matter what example you make,
and then I said,
let's do it. Because the example was based
that
on
one is superficial. It's superficial.
Right before that.
That's
having a segregated core and an integrated outer layer, bro.
Okay, I got it. So now I'm going to say this, chat. If we're talking about putting a boxing gym in the community, right, to box, and then I come along and I mention Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, and Roy Jones Jr., and try to use that for a motivation we can do. That's what he just did. I just used the best boxers ever. And I compared it to a bunch of average people, and some of us are below average, some of us above average. You can't do that. The superficial, unrealistic. You have to give a realistic example. And wait, I'm not done.
Now let me explain my example.
I'm not even done with my example. I'm not even done. So
yes, you is, man, because you're teaching off of it now.
You said, okay.
You bounced off of it and diving board into your segue.
This don't look good, man.
So my example was like us living in the food desert, chat.
This looks bad.
Imagine being in the hood and it's a food desert.
Yeah, go ahead
and there's no huge supermarket. and then you and I say, man, hop in the car with me. Let's go to this other neighborhood where there's Whole Foods at. It's around the same size.
Oh, integration that you was against earlier? Integration.
Hold on. Let me give an example of what I was doing, sir.
His example.
Let me give an example of what I was doing. I can't give the chat an example of what I was doing. You that scared? See, this is Freudian slip. Scary.
I'm just highlighting the goofiness.
Okay, so let me highlight. Let me give an example real quick. I heard yours.
No, you didn't. You cut me off.
I'm telling you, there's people out here that can recognize their scariness. But anyway.
Sure, I'm shivering.
So I say, come on. We go to another neighborhood, another group of people, see a beautiful structure, and where it's at in reference to travel, a lot of major streets right on the corner, 2 corridors, highly accessible, and be like, this is what I want to build in our hood where it's a food desert. The structure for ourselves. That's a difference. That's when the word I'm talking about a structure.
That damn notification thing in the background. That thing is driving me crazy.
Yeah, man, I had to go into my settings and mute it.
Yeah, I tried to do that.
Crazy until I was doing something else like that.
I kept trying to listen, but try to do that, and I'm kind of like, not successful.
That's rough. But yeah, that's what I was comparing. Like, look at this structure, this socio-economic political infrastructure that we can also have and do. That has nothing to do with their ethnicity,
what's holding us back
where we at, how we got here, none of that shit. Everything in reference to those things that you said, I agree with. But it had nothing to do. It was a straw man fallacy. It wasn't relatable to my context. My context used them as an example of having a segregated core and an integrated outer layer. of socio-political and economic implications.
Okay.
I hope you got a better understanding of what I was saying.
No.
And be humble enough to admit.
No, I didn't get it better.
You know what the F you was talking about.
I was more interested in you using us as an example because I said
cool. I said cool when you first said it. Okay. No matter what example, let's just do it. And you wanted to use that to see.
So
ladies and gentlemen, look at him trying to compare us to Chinese when they didn't have to go through what we went through, even if they did have to build a railroad.
It wasn't like
us.
Right,
like,
so
okay.
Now, what
okay.
Okay, what?
We the ones made Chinese food popping. It wouldn't be no orange chicken. None of that. Shrimp fried rice. None of that if it wasn't catering to us.
There'll be no H.
It was a point in time when we was the only ones that was eating Chinese food. Again, it's history in Harlem and elsewhere, in D.C., Chocolate City, and elsewhere.
That's why I say
man, I think I'm just rambling out now. You must not know what I'm talking about.
I said, I agree. I said that's why we're the best example for ourselves. Now, what else? Oh, so what is stopping us? You said all we gotta do is that. What you believe is stopping us?
Us. Explain. I think only we are stopping us.
How? Like you got to really go into detail.
I feel as though we are a collective autoimmune deficiency. Like we're our own AIDS. We make our own immune system more susceptible to everything.
Give some examples. Give like 3 examples
of being our own AIDS.
Yeah.
For instance, there being more poverty-stricken situations being added to instead of taken away from.
And why?
And more people willfully participating in things that lead to more death.
Willfully or
being
ignorant?
Locked up more. It was more people who were forced to back in the days, and it's more and more people who are not forced to.
No, listen. I'm saying right now.
Let me express.
But I'm just having you highlight. No, I want you to go in. I'm just highlighting some things because sometimes you can speak like very like ambiguous. I'm trying to get it, pin it down. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you said, because you said willfully, and I was just making sure that's what you want to use. Is it willfully or more so ignorantly?
There's also a thing called willful ignorance. And no, the answer is no, because there are a lot of things that we do know and still do.
Like, wait, hold on. When you say
so that's another subject. You can't just relegate the bad deeds to not knowing.
So let me, my fault.
It's only a certain age.
Listen, my fault. Hold on,
that we can keep blaming our background on what we do.
My fault. Hold on, because sometimes
we're gonna be in our 30s, 40s, and 50s still talking about childhood.
No.
Or what we grew up with in our teens and 20s, in our 50s, with more decades of living.
Hold on. That was my fault. Because sometimes I can ask a question and then have the context in my mind and didn't share it. Sometimes I can do that.
Oh,
that was my fault. You're right. The 30. Look. That's my sermon. Like I don't feel bad for 33 and up at all. So
okay, cool.
All right.
Something else we agree on.
Yeah.
It's a time limit to that shit.
Yeah, exactly. No. 33 and up. I'm good. And I ain't getting no dollar, no penny, no change, nothing. I could have everything. You ain't getting 1 cent, bro. All right. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the vulnerable, which is the youth. You know, like that's what I feel. Okay, like they're when I was saying when I said ignorant, it's like I said, it's my fault because I really didn't tell you who I was pointing to. I'm talking about the youth, like the let's say 25 and down.
Okay. Yeah, they inherited a crappy situation, which is honestly the reason why I give them, the most passes of all time. And probably they got the most passes of all time, to be honest with
you. Yeah, it did.
I didn't encounter hundreds of brothers in Chicago over the years that had it on them. It could have did something. You feel me? And all over the city in different intervals, different situations. And I came out smooth, either favorable responses There's some that be favorable, and then there's others that just look and show like, we ain't cool, but they ain't saying shit. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I nod to them too. Next time I see them, they nod too, like, yeah, buddy, cool. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it all boils back down to treating ourselves and others better, but everything is amplified hyperbole due to the poverty-stricken institutional ramifications. Something else that I know you agree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. See, I'm trying to get Rogerian with you.
You know, I
have a Rogerian argument. I agree. Let's make Rogerian arguments cool.
So look, we're probably going to agree on like 90-something%. Okay, of
probably.
Points. At some point, I'm going to think you're too extreme. At some point, you're going to think I'm too relaxed or with them, like your language, you with them. All right.
Yeah.
So at some point, that's going to be the split, and that split is everything. But at least we're able to point out the collective problem and the issues. Now, solving it, we're going to have a difference on solving it, solutions. So some of my solutions, right, was not mine, but some that I agree to. A large part is self-identifying, right, with meaningful terms. You said FBA, you can say ADOS, you can say freedmen, American freedmen. So,
in my opinion, being Moorish, being a Moor is an acceptable, more than acceptable free term than any of that other stuff that delude the vestiges of slavery.
So look at this. So that's the thing. That's why, like when I talk to like Moors, or not just talk to them, when I hear like Moors, or let's say the Nation of Islam specifically, or the Hebrew Israelites, I would think you guys will understand that the best, because you guys been doing that 100 years, not 100 years, but yeah, about 100 years earlier.
The importance of re-socialization efforts.
Right. So when I would think you guys would understand. You might disagree, but I would think you guys would understand the importance of reclassifying, self-identify, whatever terminology you want. Now, I get it.
Yes.
I get it. You guys would be upset because you guys was pushing the Morris thing as that we didn't take it, and now we're saying this is better. So I get, we're like competing. It's like, okay, no, we're saying this is better. I get it. Okay. So now we are now the case of reparations.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking you now, right, as a Moor, do you think that case can be made with the federal government, local governments as a Moorish person?
Yes. As more states, right? As more states with their own jurisdiction that are part and parcel with their said government. Because reparations are given to nations, and it has to be a national construct. Contrary to popular belief, a national construct is a body politic. It's a reason why corporations, fraternal organizations, religious entities, other non-corporation businesses, and governments all ran the same. Flags, charters, seals, president, treasurer, secretary, minutes, dues, /taxes. It's a reason for that, right? You could damn near use Robert Rules of Order for all of them across the board. We have to be organized and not just jurisdictional state babies in order to really get the bag, which go back to practicing with what we already had.
What's a jurisdictional state baby?
A few things. One, due to thought being the cause of it all, is relegating our multifaceted ethnocentric identity to just being all my life I had to fight chattel slaves. You already know why that has psychological ramifications out of this world. One of the reasons why, like them free ones you were talking about earlier, went through a lot of what they went through because of that large net, right?
Mm-hmm.
that definitely has an effect on us. So the resocialization piece is definitely necessary. But to get off of, for one, we have to claim, well, I'm going to be honest on my end. Before I even get to the private, I'm going to get to the public first. On the public end, we got to see ourselves different, assemble amongst each other and engage and take our place in the affairs of men. Right? While psychologically cleansing ourselves of things that's been holding us back. Or you could say subjective liabilities, psychological and sociological liabilities, right? On the public side, get our affairs in order. One issue that a lot of people think that the private side of things and the sovereignty piece is for anyone who has the knowledge and puts in the infrastructure. And it's not. Those with the knowledge and the infrastructure are meant for people who can put assets and money in it and already get money in a for-profit way. That's already got their shit together, getting money in business, own them some property, having a state. It ain't for people to get it and then try to get those things.
And now look,
it's people who are already capable of doing those things and then creating different infrastructure for asset protection.
Yes,
back to that jurisdiction part is by things being put in trust.
Be mindful that just be mindful with your answer. Don't do a Farrakhan.
I'm saying people being put in trust. I'm quite mindful on how I'm doing this right now. Trust our institutions that could take ones out of the jurisdiction of being quote unquote state baby.
So you're for reparations for states, not federal government.
For our states. You know what I mean? The states that we control, operate, organize within our government and civilization.
So when you say states, like you're literally talking about like the 50 states, right?
Body politics, yes, states.
Okay. No, I just want to, because I wasn't sure if you, like, it could be like, because you could use state in different contexts. Okay. So now.
Yeah. And I'm leaving it kind of open so I don't just have my own way of doing it being like just the end all be all. So however a person looks at having their own body politic and jurisdiction in public and in private, with select few or families, the ones you can trust and work with. However one see that going on, that's how we need to be.
Okay, so I'm going to say something. I'm going to ask you a question about if you know an individual. So I'm going to say Yvette, FBA, ADOS, we're really focused on federal over state. These goddamn bees. Okay, so you ask, even though we don't mind people, like yourself, because the way Yvette explained it, she said our, ADOS advocacy, and Tariq would say FBA, we go after federal, but like this country, the FBI, CIA, these are different branches of government. These are different police agencies, but they compare notes, right? So we go after federal. You do states, might do even local, city, towns, whatever. We just compare notes, see where everybody's at. Okay, so that's one thing. So, but we believe that state governments, the money is it fluctuates too much. A lot, the money is not as solid and, as federal fundings. Now, secondly, the question, are you familiar with Lord Abba?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Saw that conscious community, classic.
That's my boy. That's my boy. So he would go under American freedom, right? Not ADOS FBA. Have you ever had a discussion with him on this topic?
No.
Would you like
a discussion with?
Would you like a discussion with him? So the follow-up question is, would you like a discussion with him on this topic?
Quite possibly, yeah. I say not just quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because I believe I can make that happen.
Yeah. I could see, I would love to do a few things, have a few conversations. I'll get passionate here now, but I'll tone it down. Just for the sake
of
more food for thought, more fruitful food for thought for those listening.
So he gets passionate too. Okay, so just on the topic of reparations, and self-identifying. I kind of what you went into because I don't know if he still claimed the Moors thing, but I know he did at first. That's how he started off.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Right. So I feel like that can be a fruitful conversation, and it'd be great because he doesn't claim. I would say FBA ADOS. He says right. American freedmen, right? So he disagrees with those two and right. those two strategies and terminologies. Okay, so I think that would be an edifying conversation.
What Jay-Z say, allow me to reintroduce myself.
Yeah. Because I know you're talking a lot of like more stuff, and I know he's aware of that, and so is Harger Bay, but I'm not aware of that. So I don't know what you're saying is legit. If you're, adding to, I couldn't tell you.
I feel you.
But if I got somebody who is familiar with probably a lot of things you're speaking about, I think it'll make a better conversation for this. And also I can still engage because I'm not although I accept the term American freedman, I don't necessarily borrow their strategy or talking points. Okay. Right. And I know he don't borrow mine. Yeah, so I think that'll be we got to connect and find a way to make that happen sometime soon. But anyway, you can finish.
I feel like we can synthesize instead of just having clash and thesis and antithesis. We can synthesize more.
Are you familiar with Brother Reggie?
Yeah, vaguely. I mean, somewhat. Okay. We've been in the same circles. I was like, hey, what's up, bro? Not like that.
Because he actually came over here 3 times, right? And the first 2 times I was very nice to him. Kind of like you. Like I was very nice, but I ain't gonna lie. I gave you more pushback. Than I gave Brother Reggie too. You talking about appealing to, I don't know what fallacy is that, but I was appealing to my acquaintance with him. Where I didn't give him a good pushback until the 3rd time.
Yeah, I'm gonna push on him though if I ever get a chance. I wish you could set that up.
I don't know because
he say stuff like I heard him in the past say he was like, so Malcolm X said we were black. Does that mean he's wrong? Is he wrong? Yeah, he wrong. What you mean? Him and everybody else. We all have things that we right and wrong about.
Right. Yeah. But that is appeal. No. That's
the truth of a person and make it be like, well, they can't. My mama said I was black, and don't you know that they ain't know it all? So why can't they fall up under the things that they didn't know? And we learn and grow and be better.
So what fallacy is that?
Which one?
Well, Malcolm X said we were black. Was he wrong?
Oh, that's appeal to authority, actually.
Of course. Okay. Okay. So what you was doing today was mislabeling my position on purpose, trying to discredit me. It didn't work. But what he said was actually appeal to authority. Malcolm X said it, so it must be right.
Okay? Yeah, I threw about 5 straw mans at you on purpose, just as lines in the sand, to get you to be more specific and distinctive with where you're standing on things.
So anyway, both of us going to do a tug of war on Brother Reggie.
Like, that sounds fun.
Trying to get him because I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Dude's a liar. Right? I'm going to just say it. Dude just be lying. And he tried to use his degree to protect him. I got a degree in engineering, so I must be right. Okay, he be flat out lying about the history he recalled and researched. And I want him back on here. Matter of fact, I just hit him up about 2 days ago on his channel. Right? I said, hey man, the people want to hear you again. So I want him back over here because I want to call him out, because he lied about the early Pan-Africanists, and he lied about the term African American, right? And that's why he hung up, by the way. He hung up on that, how that came about. Because I said Jesse Jackson, but I was more so saying like he made it popular, which is true. But he wanted to get more technical and said, 1790. Okay, I mean, but again,
that's one of the only things I agree with Jesse Jackson though was the way that he beat up black in order to introduce and popularize African American. Everything he said about black was true.
What's some things he said? What's some things? Because I'm not really sold on black. I'm not really like 100%.
He beat the crap out black. He said everything about it. It's a negative word. Let's hold on to it.
Now, hold on.
It's a form of psychological shucking and jiving.
Wait, hold on. So let me address that, the negative word. That part is false. Okay, so ancient. Yeah, hold on. Look.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
Right. So the way it was used as limiting, like lamenting, right? The way ancient and old, it was used as like lamenting. So you say, I'm black, I'm sad, I'm lamenting. Black plague means, death, so that those talking points are true. But as far as identity, okay, that's not true. So when it was used as an identity, it was a way to replace Negro and color, because color is a color, right? And Negro is a color. Negro's black, basically, in Spanish, negro, or that goes back to Latin and Greek, something I study. But it was still all colorized. So if we go from Negro, color, and then black color, right? But again,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question then, right? Mm-hmm. Because the word you're talking about, right, black, where bleach come from in English, it had a pale and shining connotation. Before it had to do with people of quote unquote African descent of a darker hue, it had to do with being pale and shining. Once that word became black,
so why is Tommy Sotomayor mad?
It became a synonym for Negro and Portuguese and Spanish to identify the same group of people that, the Reconquistadors, right? Or the Reconquest, the Portugal and Spain. They're the ones that, it was through their scope and lens that the English-speaking people started using black to be synonymous with Negro, meaning people of quote-unquote African descent.
Wait, okay, so let's focus on the words, the letters B-L-A-C-K. When did white people call us B-L-A-C-K?
Call us?
Yeah.
15th, 16th century.
Okay. Can you produce that? Can you put something in the chat?
I mean, easy, bro. You could go to etymology.
Oh, no.
Okay,
listen.
Look up black.
No, you didn't hear me.
And then look at the century where it started to be used for people of African descent.
You didn't hear me. I'm not saying Negro, Niger. I'm not saying. I'm saying English letters. B-L, not an interpretation, not an etymology. I'm saying
come on, man. So, black, I always saying black is an Americanized way. Okay? It ain't the old English way.
Okay, but you have to understand.
Now, you know that black in English became synonymous with Negro during the times of the transatlantic.
No.
What?
No. Yeah, but you gotta listen to me, brother. Okay, now.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. You gonna make me? Hold on.
Yes. Because we got.
Because you ain't never messed with etymology, bro.
Yes. Okay. You might not understand the question. I'm not sure. You just scripted, but and after you
when it was used for our people, right?
Yes. B-L-A-C-K, not some other language. English.
What you mean some other language?
That a chat. I'm telling you, he's not listening. I already knew it. Brother, listen to my words. I'm not saying Negro, Niger. I'm saying black. Say black. Say it. Yeah, say it. Say black. Say it. When did white people call us black? B-L-A-C-K. Like the black man is God. When did they call us black?
At the earliest 15th, 16th century.
Okay, go get that. Go get that link.
At the very earliest.
Go get that link. Get that link.
Okay, I'm finna go to the etymology of black real quick.
He says etymology. Hey, chat. He's not listening, man. And this is the problem when people are
what are you saying? So okay, hold on. You want when they use the term as a synonym for Negro in Spanish and Portuguese to be a term as a social construct for people of quote unquote African descent and of a darker hue. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, but hold on one second. James Brown said, "I'm black and I'm proud."
I'm black and I'm proud.
So, and when he said, "I'm black and I'm proud," he was referring to himself, and he was using black as an identifier, correct?
Yes.
So he said the word black.
Positive way.
Right, and he said black. He didn't say another word. He said black. English.
Right, and there was a lot of people who disagreed with him and felt like that was a negative word.
Yeah,
in his age bracket.
Look, you and I can understand why. Right now,
yes,
but I'm not shit, the Black Plague. So okay. I'm not even like, so I'm not. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not going too far. We can understand why, and to some point, I might agree. Like that might not have been the best word of choices to identify yourself as at that time. Okay, so you got Black Wall. You got the
Black Wall Street. Right?
No, not that's later. You got Black Friday. And
before then, right?
Yeah, and also Black. I mean, I didn't mean to say Black Wall Street. So I went to say Black Friday. That got something to do with the stock market collapsing, right? So it was negative.
Well, it got to do with the red and the black, right? Like numbers. When the business is in the red, it's negative. When it's in the black, it's up, right? More profits than expenses.
Well, as far as
Black Friday, all the businesses went up because people going out shopping and stuff.
No, I mean, well, maybe
after the holiday.
Okay, maybe you might be right. I'm just saying
that's what made it Black Friday, because all the businesses going to the black, and then it later on developed other, connotative implications.
You might be right. I don't know. I'm just saying, like when I thought Black Friday, I thought Black Friday had something to do with the stock market crashing.
Well, I think it did crash on the Black Friday.
But anyway, it was nothing good. It was nothing good. That's my point.
I think it did crash on the Black Friday before, though, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I ain't even searching it up. I ain't got my laptop on my pad in front of me just to have a genuine conversation.
I'm outside enjoying this beautiful weather. It's like 80 degrees over here with a nice little wind. So I'm not near a computer either. So anyway,
nice.
Oh, no, it's beautiful, bro. It's been like this like a whole month. All right. So, I'm not in Jersey right now. I'm from Jersey. I'm in the South right now, and this weather is like I said, 80 degrees every day with a wind chill.
Yeah, I was just shocked thinking it was like that in Jersey. You should have just saw the look on my face. I'm looking at you like, dang, is that hot in Jersey right now?
It's like 50 degrees out there.
Right.
It sucks for them. All right. Anyway, but from what I'm told, our summer started.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm told. Our summer started. It's my first. I've been here for a few months, and I'm told this is the summer. This is like the the May part in like Jersey, like the May where it's like just not getting warm. Well, that's what they say this is. This is the early part of New Jersey in May.
Man.
But anyway, yeah. So you won't have me argue with you too much about black.
Good.
And its origins and things like that. I did follow up on that. There's a lot of truth to that. So what I would do is this. I would say colloquially, right? The name, not the denotations, right? The connotations of black by usage, right? Usage and implications. It kind of made a negative word kind of like positive, right? You think that's true or?
Yes, I think that it's a backhand compliment. It's true. It's like true to a fault. It's the truth of a fault. We've gotten so used to it and we're so comfortable with it that it feels good to us. Not only feels good, but we feel offended. It's so tattooed into our psychological and sociological identity that we feel offended as if disrespect to the term is disrespect to our people. Even when it's our people disrespecting the term. To me, that's only a stronger indictment of the sickness. Your name, Toby.
Okay, so anyway, like I won't argue too much about black, but I will say, connotations, is the way language evolves, right? If a large body of people use a certain word a certain way, it has a new definition, right? So the first definition no longer apply, even though that's the origin. That's the etymology, right? The beginning.
To a certain extent. because you and I will agree that we still got a lot of plantation shit going on hundreds of years later. Like they're not sticking together, even the best and brightest of us. Most intelligent, most talented and everything still can't stick together. Still got some sentiment over rationale.
Listen, that's
in my feelings BS going on.
Right. That's every
looking
last
for a handout, looking for Uncle Sam Titty to suck on, feeling entitled. The list goes on and on.
Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement, especially through the Black Star Line, was visionary and inspirational. But economically, it was deeply flawed and unrealistic under the conditions he faced. Here's a breakdown of why. Number one, funding through stock sales and donations. The financial reality. Garvey founded the Black Star Line 1919 as a steamship company to carry Black Americans to Africa and facilitate trade. He sold $5 shares of stock marketed mostly to working class Black Americans through the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association. This scam was the basis of his funding. Roughly $600,000 to $800,000 was scammed out of hardworking Black Americans, equivalent to $10 to $12 million today, but still not enough to sustain a shipping company. Dude had no real sustainable plan. Obviously, there were problems from the start. Ships were old, damaged, or overpriced, including the infamous SS Yarmouth, renamed the SS Frederick Douglass, which broke down frequently. Garvey and his team lacked maritime and business experience, and many of the UNIA officers were ideological supporters, not professionals. There were allegations of stock fraud and mismanagement, which led to Garvey's conviction in 1923 for mail fraud largely related to premature stock promotions for ships he didn't yet own. Number two, early signs that it was more dream than reality. We should have seen the red flags everywhere. He bought unseaworthy ships. They experienced rapid breakdowns, wasted money, no viable voyages. Also, lack of financial oversight. No real accounting system led to fraud accusations. No trained staff or maritime crew, and constant mismanagement of ships and logistics. From the beginning, it had unrealistic expectations. Thought millions would uproot to Africa with minimal preparation or infrastructure. No solid trade agreements with Liberia. Did you hear that? He had planned a Back to Africa movement without speaking to the president of Liberia. He never took his plan seriously because of that fact alone. Trade was assumed but not guaranteed or planned through diplomatic channels. And this is your leader? Number three, what would have been needed to succeed using stocks alone? If the Black Star Line was only to be funded by stock sales from the Black working class, here's what realistically needed to happen. Required steps for viability, professional maritime leadership, hire experienced shipbuilders, engineers, and logistics professionals, not just UNIA loyalists. Financial transparency, set up real accounting and shareholder reports to maintain trust and attract larger investments. Focus on trade first. Build a stable business model shipping goods between the U.S., the Caribbean, and West Africa before transporting people. Secure diplomatic and land agreements in Liberia.